good luck. I call it skill. All right, here I go. Yeah, good try. Maybe try harder next time. smooth on the map, never sleep. What you gonna do when you out? When you ain't really about that, don't you? Really on the move on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't you? Babe, you ain't really about that, don't you? Really on the move on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips. Shh. Smooth on the map, never sleep. Smooth on the map, never sleep. What you gonna do when you out? When you ain't really about that, don't you? Really on the move on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't you? Babe, you ain't really about that, don't you? Really on the move on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't you? Smooth on the map, never smooth on the map, never sleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Battlegrounds HQ, where this is our first ever English APAC North stream here with your boy Q and Stoney. Q, I'm excited for this one. We get to see the reigning champs out here on Limit.
Should be a lot of fun here. I just realized too, I didn't realize I should have switched and waited to break out the blue until this evening, blending in with the background, looking nice and crispy. But yeah, you mentioned we get to see our AWC champions today in Unlimit. And Unlimit, while they didn't necessarily have a terrible day yesterday, which we didn't get to catch our action in on because we were preparing as far as for APAC South. Unfortunately, there's just enough of an overlay. We're on Friday. It's hard for us to do both where we can do that on Saturdays and Sunday. But Unlimited just struggled to really get anything going. And kind of like we have talked about over the first 2 days in APAC South, you can't really afford to have a bad weekend. One bad day, fine. A rough start to the whole weekend, it's going to be tough. And for some of these other teams, including Unlimit, this is also a lobby where you really want to capitalize on the fact that there's no Zeta division, because as we did see in the results yesterday, Zeta was absolutely feasting.
Yeah, I think they walked away with the win yesterday, did the Zeta. Yeah. So they're looking pretty scary in that lobby. We do today get to, like we just said before, get to watch Unlimit. The other teams that did pretty well yesterday was Surale and Exact as well. So we also have two Riddle Order teams. Riddle Order 1 did pretty good yesterday. I think they finished in the top 5 over there for the Riddle Order crew. And well, we're not too far away from seeing how these teams plan out today. C Group, the first time we all get to watch C Group, and that has Enterforce 36 and Fnatic in there as well. Red Rams, Lawson Ticket, Alternative, Realize, Rhaegar, Reignite, Reject, and TIE.
Yeah, Reject being a team that was a sense of consistency alongside Zeta Division last split and split number 1. They'll look to see if they can get things going. And I know for me personally, I have a little soft spot for TIE down there at the bottom. Whenever you get FCHON a chance to be able to play on LAN, it was oh so close to being able to find themselves another good moment. As far as for EWC, you would love to see them be able to pop off here in Split 2 as well. One thing I did want to point out, in case we have people tuning in who maybe didn't get to catch yesterday's action, they see Riddle Order 1 and they're like, well, why are there 2 Riddle Order teams? Riddle Order essentially picking up a second roster. That was the team that went by Dory last split. They were one of our playoff teams, so we'll see how they can do as far as for today. As far as if you didn't catch our matches earlier, we do have an interesting map pool. We're going to be having both World's Edge, of course, with the map with that nighttime view, as well as we'll be seeing a little bit of Storm Point as well.
Yes, Storm Point and World's Edge is where we're heading for these games. And it's exactly the same as what we were watching for APAC South, but this time it's just with the North boys here for these 6 on the back end of our day. World's Edge to start off, Storm Point to finish it off. Let's go and have a look at where these teams are landing, Q, for these World's Edge games.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. First time that everybody will be seeing World's Edge as far as in APAC North. And in APAC South, we had seen up as far as Skyhook. There wasn't anybody on both sides of it. You only had the one team. It does look like Unlimit will be contested a little bit by Meteor, who'll be dropping over at Skyhook East. I'll be interested to see if there's any early fighting, especially, again, looking back to Unlimit, who are looking to really try and get things started early today.
Yeah, Unlimit, I'm excited to see how Unlimit go. I'm also excited to watch Exact. I feel like this team has a lot to prove, and they will hopefully be starting their day as well as they did yesterday as well. For the other side of things, it looks like E36 Fnatic in a pretty good spot as well. E36 landing at Dome is going to be interesting. They have Reignite and Red Rams very close to them. So we have to wait and see how these games are going to go. And it looks like we are ready to get into game number 1 already here for our APAC North AvC first ever English broadcast. I'm excited to get into this.
I am so incredibly pumped to get on down to this. And I mean, to get things started on World's Edge, a map that's gone through some changes since split number 1. We get the nighttime view. I know you and I enjoyed it a bit as far as earlier today for APAC South. And I'm also going to be intrigued. Something we didn't really talk about will be some of the differences as far as agent select. One of the big things that I think stood out to me watching a little bit before we went live, and we're already seeing a little bit of him in game number 1. It feels like the stinky boy Caustic makes an appearance a little bit more here in APAC North.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's going to work out for these teams out here. Let's go and get into our first game of today. No more talking for us. It's time to get in it. Underway.
I'm excited to see where we're off to. There's a chance we could very well be down and on our way towards Sorting Factory. And I mean, who wouldn't want to go towards a newer POI that's been brought back that feels like brings a little bit of that extra feel good to a lot of our long-time Apex enjoyers. That would be Fnatic, who would be the beneficiary of that if it ends up going that direction. Also, Lawson Ticket 1 landing over there at Harvester, also probably going to be loving the fact that they're relatively close, as well as Riga landing over there at Geyser. All three of them are going to have some pretty good prio.
Does look like maybe a Sorting Factory game here for game number 1. Wait and see how these zones pull. There's a fair bit of Geyser in as well for Riga, so if they be pretty happy with their positioning there. Red Rams, Riddle Order, very close towards that Sorting Factory, and it does look like Riga and Fnatic keen to get into it here for game number 1.
Yeah, I think Riga's expecting it to land towards these little triangle buildings just in between Geyser and Sorting Factory. Probably a pretty good read, and the fact that they'll be able to rotate in early, they'll get prio on some of the teams coming in if you want to be able to get some of that ship damage away at those Evos. Unfortunately, they won't be able to get any sort of like late game scan from there. But you'll be able to see once other teams start rotating in that it is indeed heading this way. They'll feel confident. They've got a pretty good composition here for game 1.
One squad nearby.
Fnatic, a team that didn't have the best split 1. They had to come back through PLQ, and they did. They played very, very well in PLQ. One of the most impressive finals games I've seen from the Fnatic team as well. So let's go and have a look at Rejects as they're trying to get some zone knowledge, and that they will, as Sorale now rotating in towards Harvester.
Yeah, 3 squads here.
Still seeing quite a bit of that Crypto. Wouldn't be surprised to see Crypto taken off the board here after game number 1. Seems to be a pretty consistent. We've talked about it over in APAC South. It feels pretty consistent from region to region, but I feel like even before Crypto was as dominant as it was globally, it's always had its own home for sure in APAC North. And something even tells me that there's a chance here in APAC North, if we don't see Alter banned in game number 1, we still see Alter banned relatively quickly.
Go to esports. Looking at teams that are inside Sorting Factory. Fnatic in the best spot for now, Q. They'll be able to watch a lot of these teams rotate in late.
Got a good chance to be able to get themselves some early action if they want to. And, you know, you had mentioned as far as the struggles for Fnatic in split number 1, a very unusual sight for fans globally, but especially regionally. I mean, Fnatic has been a team that generally, not just a team that looks towards land, but generally looking to being atop their region. Obviously, with their separation from UKF, they've went with more of a rebuilding route. They've gone with some younger talent, and I feel like at times showed the ability to put themselves in good positions. It just doesn't feel like they've got the confidence in those isolated 3v3s, and at times also put themselves in positions to be 3P'd relatively easy.
Sorale now rotating in. They are trying to find their way into Sorting Factory. Realize is the closest team to them at the moment. 20 squads still out here. It does look like alternative.
Let's go that way.
Move that. Evil harvester here.
They're trying to find their way in as well as Monument and Fragment. Well, they will have to rotate into Fennel.
Let's go over there.
On the other side, with the Crypto being used at the moment, but it's slow pickings at the moment.
Fennel, another one of those squads that I feel like when you hear APAC North, especially for maybe your more casual viewers, or I know it's starting to get early in NA, we may have some of our Americans starting to roll up on in here. Fennel struggled a bit as far as in split number 1. They actually finished in 16th, and they were never as far as in the same threat that Fnatic was, right, as far as having to deal with potential of relegation, but also in the same sense struggled to really find any sort of momentum. Couldn't get the wheels going, so to speak. And I think we've seen, at least for some of our teams, with some of the changes that came late in split number 1 that have also kind of gotten, I guess you can say, exacerbated with some other patches since then here heading into split number 2. Some teams we've seen even in APAC South have been able to get some things going, and there's a chance they could do that here in APAC North.
Enemy spotted far. Drone here.
Riddle order 1. Trying to find their way in. Kinotrope Club. Very close by as well. I used to love fighting in these buildings. These little circle buildings outside of
Bypass that location.
Sorting Factory. It looks like Sorale have made their way in as well with Realize on their tail.
Realize seeing what they can get going, rocking with one of the few teams in the lobby that does have that Wraith in hand. And we actually saw earlier today in APAC South a squad that was able to use that Wraith to their ability to find some very good, not only positions in the mid game, but to be able to use that portal, especially late game, to be able to put themselves in dangerous spots in the middle of the zone. I'll be curious to see if Realize might be looking to do the same sort of deal.
Fortified. Contact with target. Here.
O2 Esports. Just taking their time. It is very different gameplay compared to APAC South already. At this point in APAC South, game number 1, we had lost 5 teams already with round 2 starting. We still have 20 squads out here right now for APAC North with 1 minute and 45 seconds till round 2 starts to close.
A little bit of that extra respect that seems to be given around the lobby for sure. And it is intriguing because I almost felt that maybe with Zeta Division being out of the lobby, you'd have a few of the teams that feel more confident in their fighting that would look to try and get things going early. I'm almost wondering if maybe we see more of that in games 2 and 3 once you get those points on the board, so to speak, right? You actually get a couple of team fight wins under the belt. You'll feel more confident. For now, I think a lot of these teams, especially look at these squads that are more towards these buildings just outside and in between Sorting Factory and Geyser. Like, why would you want to take fights? You've got one of the buildings that's going to be left relatively late in this game.
Meteor giving us a little bit of Gen G action out at Monument, taking their time to rotate into zone. Fennel right near E36 in Geyser. Looks like FCN might have to fight Meteor here as Meteor is trying to rotate in. And if Meteor want to make their way in, it looks like FCN will be the team they have to go through to make it in.
That they will. A squad that just barely was able to avoid relegation in split number 1. Finished in 20th as far as for the split. So they had made themselves to their way to regional final, but weren't really able to find much success in that lobby. For them, I feel like really utilize a very early 3v3 fight win. And those 2 squads are going to be pretty isolated up on that northern side, up just outside of Fragment.
Sorale, Riddle order. Alternative, I think, have made their way into zone as well. Kinotrope Club now just taking their time. A lot of Wraiths being used out here in game number 1 also. G7 Scout in the hand for Chappie. No real action as at the moment. Riga now might have their hands full as it looks like Orb Garden could be in a lot of trouble.
Now, Orb Garden, unfortunately, is going to be all down to their catalyst here to see what they can make shake. Reignite going to be throwing some grenades and arc stars their ways, and it looks like also Riga might be looking to make a play over here as well. You can see the big ticks that come across from that nade. I think most of that were from those knockdown shields, so no real reason to want to push forward off of the back of that. But it will be Orb Garden that is eventually the first team that's taken out of the lobby. Meteor now trying to see who they can find out on this northeastern side of the zone, as that was actually FCN who just was able to teleport past them.
Lawson ticket.
Let's go there.
19 squads still standing. Only lost Orb Garden for now. Inside sorting factory. A lot of teams playing on that northern side of zone. We still have 20 seconds left here before round 2 is fully closed, and we'll be able to see where this next zone is going to be heading. Kinotrope Club still happy in their position, with Reject though looking to try and make their way in.
There's still quite a few squads that are hanging out down here, more on this sorting factory side as opposed to those couple of buildings towards the north. And I'm wondering if maybe I've misread this thing. And if that's the case, squads like Reject down the southern side will be more the beneficiary. They're actually going to look to try and play super quick on this team that's right up on the high ground, as a little bit of entry damage has been found, but I don't know if it's enough to continue to push. It's Access who actually goes one more time through the queue, chucks up a couple of arc stars as well, finds a stick onto one, and that'll help find the knock on the Chappie.
Yeah, I feel like they need to keep on being aggressive here. They do already have the down. Out comes the Seer ult though, so they will need to be careful. As we can see, they will and still be able to use this altar. Down goes the Crypto. Beautiful shots. Kinotrope Club get eliminated. Reject on the board, but here comes the third party, and this is Sorale trying to get some points on the board. Do need to be careful though, as that man is very far alone, as Riddle Order 1 still sitting on the hot.
We got the altar in play. That free get out of jail card, man, allows them to get right back with their trio, and all of a sudden you do have, as far as for Reject, they're fine. Realize, however, inside of their building, there's a couple of squads that are going to look to try and get them removed at this point. Try and see if they can own the deed to the land that they currently find themselves in.
A lot of squads nearby.
Let's go and have a look at the world champs, Unlimit. How they make their way into zone. They're stuck on the western side, of zone in that harvester choke at the moment. XT Suvi. Just looking on that backside, making sure that their coast is clear, and if they're not worried about that, then they should be okay. They do have Exact on the other side, but Unlimit with alternative, very close by on the left side. This is going to be a hard rotate in for Unlimit.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a trek for them, as they'll have to try and find their way. They will have, of course, the Axle to be able to use for a little bit of extra speed boost to find their way under the bridge. But now they've got to hold off the squad that's right above them. As you can see, Exact, Aeroborn will get absolutely shredded, as they've also got some help from across the way. I believe it was Reject who was sending in some shots.
There's FCN getting eliminated. Fennel getting the job done. We are now down to 16 squads. Meteor down to a solo. That's going to be Maron, the last one standing. I don't like his chances here, as Fennel are overlooking. We also have a lot of other fights starting to pop off here at the moment, but this looks like Fennel trying to clean up the last member of Meteor, and they will be able to get that done. Here comes the third party though, with Rager looking down as well. Realize trying to hold themselves in a safe position is Fnatic is trying to get a little bit busy inside sorting.
Fnatic has been able to find themselves inside of this next zone, and you mentioned inside of sorting as well. They do have a couple of squads around them, one being Realized. Riga also now trying to find their way inside of the zone. Unfortunately for them, they haven't really been able to upgrade the Evo. So these fights, they do have to be very selective about their approach. Reignite also trying to get a lay of the land. That's the beauty when you have the Crypto still in your hand.
E36 with 15 squads left standing. They're going to have to try and do this as a duo. They don't have their Crypto, which is quite sad. That's the legend that you really need in these last moments of these games. Lawson Ticket, though, put themselves in a really good spot as well, as it looks like that crypto is going to do a little bit of exploring right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it was the Wraith that helped them find their position in the middle of the bridge there, but they've got plenty of cover that they're able to play around. They know that this zone will continue to pull their direction as well. Reject looking to play a little bit aggressive here as some nades will get sent across the wall, and that Alter Q almost gave them the angle, but it was the Dark Veil from the other squad that allowed for them to pull back.
This is what I love about APAC North. I feel like Ultra is used so well in these regions. It does look like Reject, though, just need to be careful for now as they put themselves in a little bit of a tough position. Up goes Riot thanks to the kickstart. That's going to be Riddle Order 1 now deciding to join the party. Out comes the Seer ult. Beautiful Prowler shots coming out from Horo, and Riddle Order 1 need to be careful, but they are putting in a lot of work with this Prowler show. Just needing some help from the boys as Fennel has been eliminated in our top right.
Putting on a show, might as well say, and also opting for that Pathfinder that we've seen quite a few teams finding some early game successes here across these first 2 days. O2 trying to carry over the momentum that they were able to pick up late in their match day yesterday. It was 2 big dubs in the back end, trying to see if maybe they could pick up one here in game number 1. They haven't really been able to pick up much KP, but their positioning is on point.
Here comes Unlimit. Red Rams getting eliminated. Peace gonna try and clean up the downs. That's Sorale getting eliminated. They can see the duos moving on in. Peace now needing to do what Peace does best, and that is be aggressive. Down goes Show, and that should be an easy cleanup with Riddle Order 1 now down to a solo. They get eliminated. Unlimit starting to make a move in on this lobby, and they already have 6 kills, sitting in 11th position.
Alright, trying to see just how much they can push it to the limit, and Peace has that longbow in hand, looking to try and find some shots. We had talked about the position up here on the bridge and just how valuable it is. Tine realizes that, and they're going to look to make a push as they'll be able to find an elimination on the 1, and Lawson Ticket will eventually end up eliminated. Alternative now playing from the low ground there at the bridge, and Reject inside of this zone on the southeastern side.
Alternative in a pretty good spot. Reignite now have their hands full. Beautiful RE 45 shots coming out. That 30-30 nearly getting the job done, but Reignite will get rid of Fnatic, and it looks like Reject will be able to clean up Reignite. We now have 8 squads left, but here comes Realize for the third party as well. As we can see, Sim needs to be careful. Reject do get eliminated, but Unlimit now get a chance to reset as there's only 1 man left standing.
Got a team right by him. I'm surprised that they have been given this time and space, as it was realized that was on the low ground. I guess they weren't able to find the recognition of the fact that it was just one lone player up above them. But now they're looking to try and make something shake, as they do own quite a bit of the real estate over on that southeastern side of the zone. Saraule now looking to try and take out Ty up on the northwestern side.
Alternative now down to a duo. Momon and Libel Ace. Beautiful Prowler shots coming out as Momon's starting to clean up some business here. Gets rid of that caustic gas. And is going to try and get rid of that caustic as well, as TIE look to be in the driver's seat here for game number 1.
Get an AvC Can win here in game number 1. Yes, please. They've got themselves a good spot, but they will be one of the first teams that will eventually need to move, and they've got to hold off on this first push here. They've been able to find a knock on to 2. Last person pushes across. They don't check the backside as a limit is taken out. Ty will be eliminated as well, as we're now down to our top 3, and one of those is a solo.
Realize, I think, maybe be the only team on the high, as it does look like Sorale down to a solo. But it is the crypto, so if you can get the banners, this may be pretty interesting. There's no well, there is a respawn, but it's outside of zone. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to work out for them. But Realize in the best spot right now for game number 1.
Feels like they definitely have the winning position. They just have to make sure that they do not overextend here. However, they do have the solo on their backside. Well, I was going to say if they don't realize, but do realize with their realize. I'm sure we're going to hit that one a couple of times throughout the split, but they'll be able to now clean this, leave it down to a full 3v3 and the final 3 on the low ground, and that's not where you want to be.
Beautiful shots coming through. This should be an easy cleanup. The catalyst spikes are proving to be a lot at the moment. Down goes one. Libel Ace. 2 more people left standing. Realizing it is too easy for them to get their first game victory, and they will walk away with a beautiful game 1 dub.
It was just really textbook, right? Like, it wasn't overly aggressive. You just cleaned one side of the zone, and then at that point, once they had themselves the high ground, they find the solo, and then you just wait for the final team to ultra Q their way on up, and their team shot was indeed on point. 8 KP to go along with the 12 placement points, a 20-point game to get their day started.
Realize with a nice W there. They'll get 8 kill victory, which is, like you just said, a 20-point game for the lads. We don't mind that at all. Let's go and have a look at the match summary and the series overall, and it is Realize getting first, Alternative getting second, Sorale third, TIE fourth, and Unlimit rounding out our top 5. For the series overall, so far it looks like this: Realize leading the way, Alternative second, and TIE rounding out our top 3.
Like to see Unlimit having a better start than we had seen from them yesterday. 0-2, looking to somewhat carry over that momentum. A good top 5 for them, as well as picking up a good, or not top 5, but to be finishing in the top 5 off of the back of their KP that they picked up during game number 1. So obviously, one game done and dusted, only one winner to show. And I mean, just how good did they pop off there in that last game, Sony?
Yeah, they did well. They held it down perfectly, and they did what they had to get a victory. And it is going to be the crypto ban here as well for our APAC North game 1. So legend bans, Recon, the first legend gone. Will we see a catalyst ban in APAC North? Because it does look like there's a fair bit of catalysts out here as well in these lobbies so far. But Realize with a very nice win here on World's Edge.
Being very efficient, needing less than 2,000 damage to pick up 8 kills, as well as to be able to take home the victory. And for them, they didn't have to travel too far. As far as for them, I mean, they did land over at staging, not too far of a rotate, but we know they won game number 1. Who are some of our top performers, Tony?
Let's go and have a look at who were the big dogs in the first game out here for our APAC North, and it is going to be TIE Pino with the 6 kills. AOC from O2 Esports, he has 5. Knight with 4. Libel Ace with 4. And Unlimit Peace with 4 as well. For our damage, well, AOC Chase On with 1900. And it is going to be his teammates sitting there with 1800. We've got REIQZ with the 1600 Peace with the top 4, and Axis in the top 5. But that is how it looks after game number 1. Let's go and have a look and see how hard it was for Realize to get into that zone and see where they are landing. That is the wrong one. Hold on a second. World's Edge POI draft.
Didn't have too far to go. I mean, they landed over down there at staging. Obviously, it ended up just outside of sorting factory. So didn't have to go through Lawson ticket over at Harvester, although I do believe Lawson had already rotated their way on out. So I think they were one of the first teams on over, which was part of the reason they had less damage to go along with the less kills as far as in that first game, Stone.
Yeah, 100%. But a great game for them to get the victory, and all points is better than no points. So nice win by Realize. And Fnatic, well, where did they end up in that game? They ended up 10th. Not many placement points. They had 3 kills, 7 placement points, but looks like they could have had a better game considering where they were landing.
Yeah, I feel like we have already seen through the course of 2 match days in APAC South. It's teams who are able to capitalize when they are given those zone pools are the ones who are able to make sure over the consistency of a match day that they're in the contention of it, at least being in the hunt of the podium, if not for sure being in the top 5. And for Fnatic, I think you would have hoped to be able to get a little bit more juice out of the squeeze of that one. But you mentioned, I mean, still 10 points is 10 points, and we'll see if they'll still be able to bounce back on these next 2 rounds of World's Edge.
And my bad, they only have 5 points, 2 placement points, but that's okay. They're sitting in the top 10. Fnatic here in game number 1. Unlimit, who had a pretty slow start yesterday, be pretty happy with that first game queue as they are sitting in the top 3, and they had a pretty tough rotate going through that harvester choke. Force that fight on Exact, put themselves into a pretty good position, just unlucky with a lot of those teams fighting for that main height inside Sorting Factory.
Yeah, I think the big thing that I liked seeing out of Unlimit in that first game was it felt like the fighting was a little bit more organized. They were taken out relatively early in game number 1 yesterday. And then even in their 2 games after that, where they did get inside the top 6, they just didn't really seem the same sort of confidence in their fights that we saw, at least when it came to the finals there as far as at EWC. Granted, I guess one story that is worth mentioning, if we're going to be fair and honest all the way around, Unlimit did kind of struggle at EWC until they finally kicked it on there as far as in that finals lobby. So we know they always have that ability to get there, I guess, in a similar fashion like we had talked about Gen G the last 2 days. It doesn't matter where they're at some point you expect they're going to pop off with a big dub. So we already see they've got themselves a little bit of momentum. If they really get rolling though, watch out if you're on the tracks.
Yeah. Unlimit, scary team. Reject also had a pretty good game in that game number 1. So wait and see. Alternative is a team that I'm pretty excited to watch at the moment. They've proving that they can get in the right spots, and they're not afraid to throw some weight around. We all know Libel Ace is probably one of the most rememberable names in APAC North, and well, he started off game number 1 in pretty good fashion. It does look like we are about to get into game number 2. So let's go and have a look at our World's Edge POIs before we get back into these games and all the action.
Well, our first match, we did drop and we were somewhat central, but we ended up ending just outside of Sorting Factory. And you know what's interesting? I feel like we've been seeing a decent amount that have been in the general facility. I would love to see one that takes us maybe up towards that climatizer sort of area. And my goodness gracious, if my eyes don't deceive me, we're already seeing a nice little bit of a switch up in some of our our legend selects here. Going into map number 2, I'm already seeing a Vantage out into play. We're seeing a Valkyrie coming out. And as I was hoping to see some Newcastle already coming out here in APAC North as well.
A lot of Newcastle's out here in game number 2, that is for sure. Gonna have a look at where we're heading, and it looks like it may be another center zone here for game number 2.
This could even be something that pulls more directly towards Realize and actually in the vicinity of staging potentially, right? Staging Big Modish area, which imagine Realize gets back-to-back zones, would be huge. Realize, I feel like a name that a lot of people recognize as far as an Oregon APAC North, but if you didn't watch Split 2, probably didn't know that they actually struggled as a trio in Split number 2, and you definitely wouldn't recognize it how they started in game number 1. And while Realize isn't maybe necessarily blessed with another drop in their direct vicinity, ain't gonna have to go far. Looks like we're going off to the ways of Harvester.
I feel like we had a game 2 Harvester zone in APAC South as well. So we're seeing some Harvester being used here early for Lawson Ticket. They'll be pretty happy with that. And as you can see, Realize already making their way into zone to try and find a spot to play.
Yeah, it was that game number 2 that we ended just in the vicinity of Harvester, and we saw a lot of teams in this fashion like realize trying to move in double time to get themselves a good spot over here at Harvester. What's interesting is seeing Lawson opt to go play more of the low ground-ish area on the most southern sort of node here at Harvester, versus opting for more of the high ground a little bit further back. I'm not sure if they're reading this as pulling more south, or maybe just the fact that they do have both the Rampart and Newcastle, they feel they can hunker down more, but I feel like they're just asking to get naded out.
Tough spot to play, you're right. I don't really like it, but the best thing about that situation for them is they do have that Watson, so once the pylon comes out, they should be okay. But here comes Reignite moving in. And what, they're being super aggressive. There are some good nades being thrown their way, and they're going to have to try and hold this fight off here as Riddle Order 1 are looking to try and be aggressive.
See what they can get shaken. Only had 1 point to their name after game number 1. Lawson Ticket only having a pair of them things. Exact wasn't even able to pick up one, so all 3 of these teams that were peeping in on early looking to try and get some momentum picked up. Exact finds one. Oh, turn around as the alternator in hand was almost quiet enough to be able to play out of sight and out of mind, but Reignite, they're out of here.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. I was like, hello, I'm here. But Exact will get the clean up, and they're playing pretty well here in game number 2. Riddle Order 1 now getting a chance to reset just a little bit. As I say that though, Exact looking to try and make their way in on some noise. A lot of teams already here, Q, trying to cement their place to call home in Harvester.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that game number 2 that we had seen in APAC South that we were talking about that ended right around this area. So many teams get the read, and you know that there's only so many like really critical spots that you can lock down, so the teams that are in the general vicinity try and get there quickly. And then also when you have the teams that are right next door, how comfortable are you going to be coexisting? For now, Exact have been able to at least stave this team off that are in this tower next door. Corin might be looking to try to be a little sneaky around the outside.
Riddle Order trying to see a scan as well. Rejects look like they might be getting aggressive here to Red Rams, and Red Rams are going to full send. A little bit too aggressive, and Red Rams, they don't have much health at all. Reject, once they get a chance to reset, will most likely re-inject themselves into this fight here for Reject.
I'm really trying to get a read on the composition here. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, the advantage to sit back and I guess find the opening for the seer and the altar. But if you're sitting early in the middle of zone, I don't know how much value you're really going to be able to find with that advantage. I think of like when we've seen Gen G played, it's usually because Gen G's hunting around the ring of the zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's different. And usually for Gen G, it comes in game 6 or game 5. I've seen advantage game 2. Very interesting from Reject. Enter Force 36 making their way into zone. Rhaegar as well.
And climb this hill and find themselves a little bit of safety, as they will be able to find their way up this direction. And once they find where they want to set up shop, you do also have the pylon. But I don't know if they're going to be worried about that just quite yet. They do have a team down on the opposite side of this hill in front of them, as you'll see some pop shots let off and across. And I think now they're going to wait to use and see what kind of opening the Wraith can find.
See what they do. Now going to use that portal. Does look like they are very close to a team Fennel who are inside the choke at the moment, and they will get the reset on their seer. 19 squads left standing. Not much else really happening at the moment, but we do have that vantage out here marking people with that sniper's mark. And they put themselves in a pretty good spot here, Q, because if it does pull more south, they got a pretty easy rotate in.
Yeah, and you would imagine with the 2 rings kind of touching on that southern side, there's a good chance that it'll at least continue pulling towards the southern half of Harvester at minimum, if not pulling outside of it, which does mean as those, 8, 9 teams, whatever that is, that are currently shoved inside the different layers of Harvester. The couple of teams that will be eventually leaving probably aren't going to be sitting at full health. They should be able to get some of the pickings left over from that.
This is where RRQ played in their game 2 on Harvester. And they were in a pretty good spot all the way till the end, where Wolves Esports drops down and got rid of them. But Riddle Order 1, they get pretty slow at the moment. Not too keen on getting in on the action. They need to be careful as well when they do queue, because with 2 grey shields and 1 blue, not putting themselves in any upper hand advantage.
Yeah, they definitely aren't very safe as far as the shield's condition for now. At least maybe the good news is with so many teams around you, maybe you can, 1, quickly upgrade yours, but 2, maybe find a shield swap on somebody on a third party on your trek on down towards the south. For now, though, there's still not very much shooting going on here at Harvester. There's a lot of teams that are continuing to, you know, kind of navigate the different layers here. And we were both wrong. It's not really pulling down towards the south, instead of pulling a little bit more out westward. And it does not feel like very many teams had the read. Maybe some of these teams that were expecting it more dead on Harvester will still have the advantage of being in this next zone. But this is going to be good news for teams like Unlimit, who will have pretty well free range on the edge of that northwestern side.
Even Orb Garden now can take their time rotating through staging, and might be able to get a ring console as well inside staging and be able to help them make their way into zone. Unlimit, for example, they're on the hill, the beacon hill at the moment, and the way zone's pulling Q, they put themselves in a really good spot.
They put themselves in a good spot, and man, down there in that bottom left-hand corner, that just tells you they're looking for a fight, ain't it? Axel, Sear, along with the Bangalore, they're looking to play aggressive. They're looking to get in, get out, and pick up some KP. Right now, they'll be lurking around the northeastern side. Sorry, I did that twice now. The northwestern side of Harvester. You talked about the potential of seeing that squad rotating in through staging. They end up actually opting to go way around over on the northern side to Orb Garden, but still chance for maybe Unlimit, maybe even Reject to get in some early action.
Rejects playing the Vantage is so crazy to me on a game 2. But we'll see if it works for him, as at the moment hasn't not. But this zone pool is definitely going to be a tough one for this team on this south side, because it does feel like that western side of Harvester is the place to be at the moment.
I don't think Reject, unfortunately, they don't have any sort of beacon or anything. They were down on the southern side, so all the information that they have is the current ring, and I would imagine they were thinking the same thing both you and I were, that it would continue to pull their direction down towards that bridge. Riddle Order 1, one of 8 squads that are all piled in down here inside of Harvester. They do have the Watson, of course, which will help for them at least be able to avoid getting naded out. They do have that pylon already set up, and they also have the Watson fences to allow for them to play wide. Over on this eastern side is Meteor looking to try and get their day going after a lackluster game 1.
It looks like they're going up against FCN Yamabun, and well, they've already got one down, and FCN need to try and get the reset. Meteor do need to worry about rotating in, and as I say that, E36 will get the down. That's Synapse. So a nice little 1-2-3 by the boys over at E36, and they're going to try and get rid of this kill as well and finish that down.
CRQ came across, doesn't give them any sort of information, but they know that they were able to find at least some sort of entry damage. Some shots are sent towards the high ground, but I don't think that they've got enough recon to feel comfortable in pushing across. So they'll go ahead and bring things to a halt for now. We had talked about the teams that kind of like a parfait layered together down here at Harvester. Well, at some point the heat here at Harvester is going to cause all of that to start to melt. And on the bottom sit Kinotrope Club, who will not only have to deal with the team directly across from them, but the 6 other squads in those layers on top of them.
Looks like these boys are going to move in. TIE will get rid of Sorale, and just like that, they get eliminated. O2 Esports, very close by. And it does look like they will get one down as well. FCN getting the reset. Yamabun. Looks like E36 also getting eliminated. That is unlucky for E36. They go out at 18th position, and Reject now trying to fight again this team on the bridge.
Shield cell here.
See what Reject can find as far as up on this bridge side. It's Yamabun. Does have the purple shield. They'll have the advantage on that side. And now off the back of that Seer Q, Reject will know that. But if there's anything that we do know about this team is they'll still feel comfortable pushing forward. I mean, the trio of Urice, Ruffa, and Axis, they'll feel fine pushing into any trio in APAC North, even if you're Zeta Division, especially if Ruffa's already been able to find at least a little bit of chip damage and continues to push this squad on back. If the nade that gets sent forward, unfortunately, it's not going to find any impact.
Very, very close. And we'll get the down low. Beautiful shots by Rufa. He's going to have to try and get the kidnap. He doesn't. You'll see that they get down on the ground. Beautiful shots coming out though. Should be able to clean this up. Down goes another one. Reject looking good as FCN Yamabun now in some trouble. Fennel moving in for the third party. They take control of the bridge, and now that's going to be a hard one for the boys of Reject. So they have to play it a little bit more safe.
Fennel will eventually need to leave this position and move forward, even if it is just a little bit. The problem is they do still have Reject that's looking their direction and have a couple of different angles. They also have Axis, who has that L-Star in hand currently as well, and that thing knocks if he happens to get close enough to be able to deal some damage with it. It'll be a quick Q on up off of the back of the altar, but we talked about that L-Star in the hand of Axis. You can't find any entry off it. It means they got to fall back.
Know if you can see those box reses unfolding underneath. That's FCN getting a reset. Fennel getting the first down on Reject, and Reject now might be in some trouble. Reject Reese does get down one from Fennel. Now it's a 2v2 situation. The P2020's in the hand. Reject now flipped the switch again. Reese now is the last one standing. O2 Esports getting eliminated. We have 16 squads left standing, and I think that might be FCN Yamabun moving in to clean up this last member standing.
You can only dance around for so long with the altar TPs here and there to be able to stay alive. Fennel looks to try and get themselves back up to a duo, but no dice. They'll eventually be taken out by Yamabun. Realize still a full 3, as is Lost in Ticket, who are going to continue to hold down this southern node here at Harvester. Reject, they've lost access, looking to see what they can make do as a duo.
They will get one down. It's going to be a 1v2, and FCN get the reset of a lifetime, but they don't have much time to try and get another one, as that is some beautiful shots coming out from Yamateo with the car. We'll get down one member. It is now going to be a 1v2 situation for this man. Can he get the clean up? No, he can't. They will get eliminated, and it's realized that are there to help the cause as well.
We had talked about the position that Realize was in. We thought that they would be cleaning up on the teams that were eventually leaving Harvester. Instead, they're cleaning up the teams that are rotating into Harvester. They're still playing janitorial duty nonetheless. Unlimit are looking to try and get things going. They have been able to keep themselves alive, but it's TIE that's on the low ground, and with nades getting sent on up, there's a chance they could very well also look to follow up off the back of some entry damage as well. They'll be able to find a knock on the one. The problem is, with no Axel in their team composition, they have no verticality here.
Contact with target.
Yeah, this is tough. Kinotrope Club also very close by. I don't like this spot for Unlimit. Kind of getting focus from all ends at the moment, and they will most likely get eliminated. There's only one man left standing. Unlimit go out at 11th, and that is a beautiful job there by TIE. We have 10 squads now left standing. Riddle Order 1 looking pretty good.
Let's move there.
Middle order one's in a pretty decent spot. Exec trying to see what they can cook up from the low ground here as Corin trying to ping out the necessary routes for the squad, as they do know that they've got several teams on their height. Meteor still out without any cover, will try and push in towards this southern node, but just on the other side of the door is Lost in Ticket, waiting for them to try and have anyone push in towards their direction. There's also Orb Garden that sits on the rooftop that continues to spray down as well.
Zera getting some downs with the Prowler. I do like this composition. It's very early. The baby comp coming out in game 2 is a little bit crazy, but it's working because there's not many mad Maggies out in the lobby, if any. So Lawson Ticket, though, they're going to have to try and get a reset, and it does look like the Wraith getting into a pretty safe position. As Meteor gets eliminated, here comes Orb Garden. Oh my god, he just got absolutely just destroyed by the Kraber. Alternative go down. Orb Garden now down to a 0, and here comes Realize looking to try and clean it up.
There is so much going on here just to the southwestern side of Harvester. Realize has now been able to stabilize their position, however, and Knight has the Kraber in their hand, sees the diamonds across the way, but isn't going to be able to find just quite an angle. Tries an arc star, but it gets eaten up by a pylon that's from the Watson right on across the way. Lets a shot off towards their northwestern side, but it does not find its mark.
Needs to be careful. Realize here comes TIE. They get the crack, and it didn't take them long to full send that with being aggressive. TIE now. FT Yarn. You need to slow it down a little bit. Realize now sitting behind that Watson pylon, and that is going to help them be able to get a reset here with Knights, and Realize now able to try and recoup.
Back up on their feet, back to a full 3 they are, and still right in the middle about where the zone is going to be pulling. And the only real team that I would say their biggest worry would be is going to be TIE, who was able to get a full reset as well. I do like the spot that Riddle Order 1 is in, though, because this ultimate high ground gives them a complete lay of the land, and they should be able to walk down the ramp towards their left and be relatively central.
Getting shots down as well. Lawson Ticket getting eliminated. Realize getting a full reset. They're going to be aggressive, and down goes Sizu. So the back-to-back looking a little bit too tough at the moment, as TIE have different plans, and that is going to be FT Yarn cleaning that up. They are now in best position to take control of game number 2. FT Yarn just needs to be careful. Don't want to overcommit, but he can see all the shots coming out. The Watson's just in the open, and FT Yarn, the seer, doing what he has to right now. This is just easy pickings for TIE.
The legend from APAC North restarting things in this second split here in day number 2, their first time out on the battlefield. And you mentioned for Eftian, a player that everyone within the region knows and loves, now looking to try and finish things off with an exclamation point. They've been able to put in all sorts of damage here in this late game, but can they pick up a dub? It's a wrap around the mountain. Eftian able to find a knock, and Kenotrope Club gonna be eliminated.
They're in the driver's seat at the moment. Exacta solo. TIE are just having so much fun. There's only one man left standing, and TIE take game number 2, and they drop a nuke. A 13-kill win to take the game 2 victory.
Sheesh, up to 38 points here through 2 games. You said absolutely cooking in game number 2, and they played that end game to perfection. They were able to pick team by team off over on that western side as they continued to close their way on in, and it was a team effort, as you can see on your screen. 13 kills, everybody eating just a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great win by the boys of TIE. Let's go and have a look at the match summary after game number 2, and it's going to be a 25-point game as Riddle Order 1 sits second, Exec third, Kinotrope Club fourth, and Rega rounding out the top 5. We're going to have a look at our series overall, Q, and see who's leading the way after the first 2.
Well, Ty has soaked up a whole bunch of points alongside Realize, and it does mean that the rest of the pack relatively close together. I mean, Alternative in third all the way down to Sirale, or even Fnatic in 13th, just 11 points. We'll go at 12 points down to 16th, means it's still anyone's chance as we do go on to one last drop on World's Edge. Anyone can still have a vie for a position there in the top 3.
That they can. It is going to be a Seer ban going into game number 3, which means it is going to look very familiar as the other regions at the moment. Both Recon Legends getting banned, Crypto and Seer off the board here after the first 2. Well, for APAC South, it was Watson, I'm pretty sure, the third ban. So this is where it gets interesting. How do APAC North play these following games?
Yeah, I feel like we've seen already a decent bit of the Watson out there. And honestly, with the Seer gone, wouldn't be surprised to see an uptick in the selection. You did also notice in both games 1 and 2, you said, Stoney, we had seen a bit more of the Catalyst as well. And I'm wondering if maybe instead of an uptick completely in Watson, it's a little bit of the 2, which maybe means a different legend potentially gets banned in game 3. Of course, only time will tell, but what we can also talk about along the way is how we've had now 2 different squads be able to pick up wins in 2 games here on World's Edge. Realize and TIE both picking up dubs, and for that reason, there are number 1 and 2 teams. But how about we talk about some of our top individual performers here, Stoney?
Gonna have a look at our top 5 kills and damage leaders after the first 2 games. There's going to be Pino leading the way with 11, Yumi sitting second, Knight third, Koron fourth, and Peace rounding out our top 5 for our kills. For damage, oh, it is going to be Show, Chason, Amedge, Pino, and Axis in our top 5 here for damage. We have 1 more game left to go before we head over to Storm Point Q. So far, so good for a lot of these teams.
It's looking pretty solid here. Like we said, the 2 teams that have won are a little bit further away from the rest of the pack. But I mean, when you look at what 3rd through 6th, it's 18 points, 17 points, 16 points, 14 points, 12. Well, I mean, it's still anybody's game. And we talked about how deep this lobby is. Yeah, it might not have the big dogs of APAC North as far as Zeta division, but everybody else that's in this lobby knows just how valuable those top points are, those top spots are that yield you those 25, 21, and 18 points. So I'm sure everyone's still going to be making sure they keep their pedal down to the metal, especially as we go on to our last rendition here of World's Edge.
I wonder if Reject run the Vantage back. That is what I'm intrigued about. Do they keep on playing the Vantage? Was that just a 1-game thing, or are they going to do it again? That is, I'm very, it was very confusing to see it so early on, but if it works for them, let them keep on trying it, because Reject, they're a team that have a lot of experience, and they wouldn't be doing it just for no reason. So we'll wait and see how these next lot of games go.
Yeah, I mean, we've even seen teams over in APAC South getting cooking with, I guess we can call it off meta. Maybe not as much as the Vantage, because we've literally only seen one in a lobby at a time. There's the one Gen G one a few times back in Split 1, and now obviously Realized. But, you know, it feels like while there are certain legends that are very much considered strong in meta, it does feel like there are other people who have shown that if you've got a strong grasp on a legend, you can shake things up, especially because most people aren't expecting that when a team comes pulling up for a third party.
And there was two Vantage teams in APAC South in that last game, so I have to try and find what the last team was that was in it as well with Gen G. But yeah, if it works, it works, right? We saw Gen G do it at the back end of Split 1. That kind of helped them qualify into that playoff. So we, at one stage, thought they weren't going to be making it. So teams want to, and it works for them, hey, let them do it. So we'll have to wait and see how game number 3 is going to go. We're on our last game in a second here on World's Edge. So far, so good. Is there any teams that you're looking at that you want to see get going here, Q? One of the teams that I want to see get going here is definitely Reignite. I feel like Reignite are a team that up and down a lot, but when they're up, they're truly up.
Yeah, Reignite, one of the squads that was able to just sneak towards the land. Would definitely love to see them get their feet under them. Of course, this is their first match day, so if it's a struggle bus for the last 4 games, not the worst thing in the world, but in a similar situation to Reignite, their first match day here for Split 2, a team that also made it to land is going to be Enter Force 36, who have also had a very quiet day. Only 1 point, and that one lone point came off of placement. I feel like Enter Force 36 was a team that when we look back to Sapporo last year, they were like, Enter Force 36 is around your area, they're going to take the fight and disrupt things. They haven't disrupted anything yet here today. I want to see them pick up some steam.
Yeah, man, E36 are a dangerous team. To have 1 point after 2 games is not the best start for a team of that caliber. I'd also love to be a part of E36 one day. That's like my favorite of all time. I love E36. So E36 hopefully can turn it around here. They have 4 more games to do it, and it does look like everyone is getting into the lobby here for our 3rd game. Let's go and have a look at the POIs for one more time before we get into game 3 of World's Edge.
Yeah, it's been 2 POIs that have been a little bit more, I guess you could say, southwestern. It's still more central, I guess you can say, right? Because more right around that sorting factory as well as there around Harvester. But I'm wondering if maybe we get some love to our teams up in that northeastern quadrant of the map, or even if we do end up getting sent down to the southeastern side. We were just talking about Enter Force 36. They haven't by any means had the furthest of rotates, but maybe if they get a zone, well, I was going to say in their general vicinity, hey, tough luck there, chaps. You're going to have to go to the far side of the map, because it looks like we could very well be off to Skyhook.
Yeah, well, majority of these zones usually do go to Skyhook, but I wouldn't mind a war camp zone here. We haven't seen much war camp action, and it would be cool to see exactly how that would look here with a lobby of this caliber with these teams. So we have to wait. O2 Esports most likely hoping for a war camp finish as well, but this is no, we're going to Skyhook, and I tell you what, can't remember the last time I've seen a Skyhook ending. Unlimit, they'll be pretty happy with that, as well as what they're one of the teams that need a massive game. They at the moment only 14 points on the board, Q, but looking to try and turn things around.
Yeah, we'll see if Unlimit can benefit off of this. You mentioned maybe not necessarily the start they were hoping for, although they are more in the mix than they were at this point yesterday. And we did talk for Unlimit. You know, you can't really necessarily have 2 back-to-back tougher session days, and with finishing 10th yesterday, it does feel like if you're really wanting to keep yourself in the hunt for some good spot for land, or at least to make sure that you're not feeling the pressure come match days 5 and 6, you're probably wanting to follow up that top 10 finish with a top 5 at least here today.
TIE trying to rotate in towards Skyhook. Rhino will go down, so this is not a great start as they're rotating into O2 Esports, and O2 Esports will get the first kill on the board. As we can see, O2 may be looking to keep the aggressive play on and get rid of this team, or will they worry about rotating in, as it looked like TIE have moved back to Granny's to try and get a reset.
And understandably so, right? You lose one player, and I think they had actually heard it was Lawson Ticket, who was in the sky, who had just finished their trajectory on in, and Ty didn't want to get caught between them and the team that was already firing their direction. So backing away from the zone they go. They'll be one of the later ones to the party. The good news for them is, I mean, a majority of our lobby is already either in Skyhook or has started rotating through Countdown and War Camp into Skyhook. So Ty should be rather unimpeded in Countdown. Of course, I say that and realize I see has just pulled up here, and that means Ty will not be able to get this respawn for free.
They've got an Evo
No,
house.
they won't. Fennel.
Anyone? Ego yonder.
Looking like they are still trying to make their way in. Alternative. They're deciding to get into the action. Liable Ace and crew, but Fennel does want to rotate back towards Underlook and head back into zone. Gonna have a look at Rhaegar as they're sitting in a interesting position for now, as they're probably just going to try and hold out the teams that are rotating through from sorting.
There's a couple of squads that are still left down here on this side, so you'll see if you can pick up some isolated 3v3s. You mentioned Rhaegar. Sitting on 12 points for now, inside the top 10, but would surely like to be able to get a little bit of more wind in their sails before switching on over to Storm Point. FCN Yamabun in a similar situation as far as their day thus far as well.
Yeah, Yamabun in a little bit of trouble. Rhaegar just going to have to rotate into zone here. If they've got zone knowledge, these lads, and they might just not understand that this zone is pulling north, so they might just be playing the edge for now until they see exactly how far this is pulling towards Skyhook. Meteor on the other side of things, they've found themselves a pretty good spot here on top of the main building inside Skyhook.
Yeah, they got that ultimate high ground. They'll be able to get a good lay of the land. They are sitting on 3 white tees, though. That would be my only complaint, but you would probably imagine by having that sort of exposed look around the land, they should be able to upgrade those Evo relatively easily. Maybe not necessarily in this first ring, but as things do continue to close on in and people are pushed away from their buildings and continue rotating towards you, that should be the case. Kingdom Stroke Club here in a rough spot. You've already had one player knocked, and it looked like there was a chance that maybe you were going to lose your Maggie as well. Luckily, they do have the Watson as a part of their composition, and you can see those fences are locking down all of the doors, which allows for them to get the reset.
Want to have a look? Alternative now. Right next to O2 Esports. They already have a purple shield out here on Chasen, so pretty good for these lads. I feel like you're going to see a lot of teams inside Skyhook probably rotating in with not much on the shield side of things. They're going to have to just try and hold it for now, but that's where teams on the edge that are very far on that south side, still rotating through Sorting Factory, may be able to come in with better shields than majority of the crew. Rhaegar, they're one of the teams, as is Fnatic, who are going to make their way around towards the Harvester side.
Fnatic's been relatively quiet thus far today, but you can see here in game number 3, they've already done a pretty decent job of making sure that they're looted and booted. They might be one of the later ones to the party, as they did land quite a bit down south. They did land down there at Sorting Factory. Remember, we were talking about the fact that they weren't quite able to capitalize on the fact that they are gifted zone in that game number 1. To see if maybe they can still rectify this first half with a decent finish in game number 3. TIE, they had talked about how they had made their way towards this middlemost building in Skyhook. They are underneath that squad that we had mentioned that does sit above them, but for TIE, the fact that they've got so many squads around them, they should feel pretty safe in the spot. The fact that no one's really going to push onto their position. They already know about Meteor that sits on top of them. That should help carry them towards like a top 5, top 3 sort of position.
20 squads still out here. Fnatic, Rhaegar, Red Rams, E36, Reject, Yamabun, and Fennel. All the teams on the edge at the moment trying to rotate in. It looks like Fnatic, they're going to take a jump tower there and make their way in between Monument and Fragment. And it does look like E36 are doing the same, but they're heading towards Grannies at the moment. While majority of all the other teams, well, they found real estate here, Q, in the home of Skyhook.
I mean, I remember when E-District first released and they talked about how a lot of the end zones were kind of similar to Skyhook, allowed for a lot of teams to be able to pile in a very small area because of all the buildings and the layers. So the fact that we do occasionally still get to go to Skyhook, even on a day where maybe we don't get those very packed end games on each district, but now it's AvC and Yamabun. We're looking to try and stay up on their feet. Fennel are looking to try and get a little frisky here. They've been able to find a knock on to one, but it is Yamabun who have been able to meet with some extra resistance, and they might actually force Fennel back.
It's going to be an interesting fight because it looks like another team has joined the party as well. And that is, Fnatic might be rotating in behind them. And it's E36 to understand they have to be aggressive to clean this up. It is a duo via trio.
Go here.
Well, Yamatail and the Mad Maggie 666 trying to stay alive.
Be a tough situation to play in as a duo here, especially with still so many teams left alive. I'm not even sure if they'll really have the ability to rotate away from their position, because you do still have E36 on this further outside area by War Camp as well. I think with them having their attention as far as rotating on this northern side, maybe a chance to duck their ways away. But when we look back towards Skyhook itself, Red Ram, along with a bunch of teams, are starting to poke and prod away towards one another. Fennel still rocking the vantage just along the outside. They'll get their beacon scan before moving in.
Get the job done. Fnatic now have to try and figure out their play in, and looks like they're going to queue through the wall and try and make it into the house they've pinged. This is where it gets interesting for teams, because where they're pinging is, I think, where that Kraber is, and that is exactly what they're playing for, and Reignite will get it. And we'll rotate back towards that building that they were trying to hold. So 19 squads still standing. Meteor, the first team, eliminated with round 2. Still 15 seconds away before being fully closed.
About to say, a Kraber in the hand of Rezi, I'm here for it, but ends up dropping it for their teammates. Instead opts for that triple take to play alongside their car that they've got in the back pocket. Reignite does have one of the more high ground positions on the southern side of Skyhook, but
Open supply bin
this
here.
does feel like this still will probably end up pulling more towards that bigger building. So it does mean Reignite will eventually need to move up north.
Follow me there. Get over there.
Exact. Looking like they might be aggressive here. Beautiful shots coming out. Down goes one from OT Esports. It's going to be a duo via duo, and this is what we we're talking about, Q. It's going to be hard for these teams to try and hold down a position when they're all playing with grey shields. So Kinatroke Club coming in for the third party. And it looks like O2 Esports might be able to get a reset if no one's going to full send this. And more above, Exact getting the respawn as well using the beacon.
Talked about Exact being one of the teams that you were curious to see how they would fare today. Through the first two, and I guess we'll call it a half game since we got third ring closing now, things have been looking good, pretty good for them so far. We'll see if they'll be able to punch things home across the finish line on this last game here on World's Edge. I feel like every time we happen to click back over to Yamabun, they find themselves in quite the sticky situation. Still left as a duo, a trio, looking to push up to the hill onto their position, as it's Fennel also looking to wrap around the outside.
Fennel using the Vantage as well. So Vantage is out here at the moment. Game number 3, FCN getting a reset on a Ducks. And that is crazy that Fennel are just allowing it. Well, we know these teams need to now worry about rotating inside a zone. E36, a team that really need to get going. Looks like they're going to try and get a reset on Juzna. As Riddle Order 1 and getting some downs as well is Unlimited.
Opponent over here.
Riddle Order 1, you talked about them. They're already sitting on those triple purples. They're armed up for this late game. Unlimited, they've been able to take this top tower as... I'm trying to remember who it was that had sat up here earlier, had been the only team that ended up being eliminated. So Limit sits above TIE. The two of them sit above Lost and Riga and company. Down on the southern side, they'll have quite a bit of a trek here in just a moment.
Fnatic getting rid of FCN Yamabun. There was only so many times that team could reset, it felt like, and Fnatic, well, they're going to take advantage of it. And they get the kills. As we can see, that zone pulls back towards where Orb Garden are sitting, as well as Reignite. So I'll be pretty happy with this, since it sounds like teams also trying to rotate in closer to zone. That is going to be Riddle Order 1 taking their spot.
And down below them, it looks like Reject also could be knocking on that bottom floor as well here in just a moment, which means just this house alone could be incredibly packed. And it's not a situation that I envy any three of these teams that are in, because not only do you have these three on top of one another, but a couple of squads in the buildings that are adjacent to it here as well. As far as for Reignite, you do still have that Kraber in the pocket of Tida. I had told you in the green room I was hoping we'd see Tida on that Newcastle at some point. Currently, though, rocking the fuse.
Scratch that.
Limit. Still in a really good spot. Beautiful shots coming out there
Enemy there.
from Yulari, man. 18 squads still standing, Q, with 15 seconds left of round 4. I feel like we're about to have one of the most craziest back ends of these games here to finish off World's Edge. And well, this is what Skyhook brings to these kind of games.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure how many teams we're going to lose just on this 4th ring closing. It really feels like the 4th into 5th is probably where the true madness is going to unfold, because a lot of these teams are already inside of the zone where it's closing in at. Sorale, though, in a tough spot as it's all going to be left to their Maggie. Looks like they will be able to at least get themselves back up to full health. You had mentioned Unlimited as they had continued to let those pop shots rain from the high ground, but they still have no reason to fall down from where they're at. It's excellent position.
E36 in a good spot. They're getting some KP on the board. Go and have a look. Fnatic do get eliminated. They were forced out of that choke, so weren't going to be alive for long.
Another bogey.
And majority of the teams that they probably didn't want to be in the house closest to them rotating out of that choke queue were all there as well. 16 squads still standing though. Sorale getting eliminated also. We have a minute left until round 5 is fully closed, and
Let's go there.
well, we'll be in round number 6 with somehow 16 squads.
Well, it does indeed end up pulling away from the big old dome building here in Skyhook, which means for those teams that are piled on top of one another in that southernmost building, Reignite, Riddle Order 1, they'll be pretty happy. Teams like Unlimited, though, they'll have quite a bit of a trek. There's a chance that Lawson Ticket could be the beneficiary of these couple of teams to the north of them, rotating their way on through and getting some free KP.
Reject getting some downs. Riddle Order 1 looking to try and just show some presence, because coexisting in a house like this with 3 levels and having every level occupied by a team is pretty scary if you're not going to show a little bit of presence. As we can see, Kinotrope Club, they need to be careful as well, because there's a couple of teams in this building, O2 Esports being one, and Lawson Ticket underneath as well. And well, Unlimited, they're in a pretty tough spot. They're going to have to rotate in a second. The best thing about this though is, well, XT Suvi, he is on that Valkyrie, where I reckon they might be able to pop that in a second and get in to a better spot for zone. E36, they did get rid of another team just before, and they're going to need to rotate in also.
Interesting, because we did see them go down a level, but I do believe it was Unlimited. We had eventually heard rip it and take it to the sky. Looking to try and find some real estate down at these southernmost houses, like the one that Riga currently finds themselves on the bottom floor of. Unlimited, unfortunately, has already lost Suvi, and Yulari, man, sitting about 25 HP, but will be able to use those syringes as they sit on the outside of this building. Red Rams eliminated.
Yeah, we're losing teams left, right, and center. E36 getting eliminated as well. Realize still alive. Riga still alive. There's a lot of teams starting to make their way into zone. Exact might be in some trouble, and yes, they are. Lawson Ticket going to get some KP, and you said that they might be able to pick up some kills here, Q, playing that low ground of that building. And that's exactly what they have done. O2 Esports will clean up Fennel. We're now down to 11 squads, and they're going to have to try and get a reset as well. Reignite, though, getting busy as they got a lot of teams to worry about in this south building.
Now, Unlimited being one of them, and it looks like Unlimited have now been able to at least put themselves no longer on that topmost floor, which is good when you do still have a few squads that are left inside the lobby that do have that Valkyrie still left alive. We saw yesterday that the squad was just on our stream, O2 Esports, were able to utilize a strong back end of their their day to be able to put themselves up at towards the top of their leaderboard. They're gonna have to have a similar finish here because they've struggled to get through the first 2 games.
Riddle Order 1 right next to Reignite. 11 squads still standing. A lot of teams still standing in this last zone. That is insane. Reject still alive. Not playing the advantage here in game number 3. Beautiful shots with that Prowler. They're going to send it. Needs to be careful though. It's O2 Esports. Reject do get down 1. It's going to be a 2v2 situation. And can Reject now try and get a reset? They're in some trouble. They're going to get eliminated. And that is O2 Esports now getting a chance to rotate in. Kinotrope Club getting some shots to hit. They will lose their Mad Maggie. They're going to have to try and get this reset, and that's exactly what they're going to do, but they're going to move on in. Kinotrope Club get rid of Orb Garden. O2 Esports are down to a solo, and this is going to be tough for these lads.
There's so much fighting going on. Basically, all 3 buildings have isolated fights going on. And then to the north of this building, you've got Lawson Ticket, who basically just get to send shots in all of these fights. Direction, Zuvi tries to take to the sky here. Can they land on top of the light post? Yes, they can. We've seen this done before. And now the question is, how long can you stay out of sight and out of mind? Because right now, no one realizes where Zuvi's at.
Oh, they just find him. As you say that, he's going to land straight back at the same spot.
Shut up.
It's only a bullet. He needs to get some health. He needs to put some health on. If he gets hit, he's dead, and he dies once. Now we have Riddle Order 1. 2 teams left alive. Riddle Order in the best spot right now to get the win. Beautiful fences coming out. They will get the... No, Reignite! Reignite get the finish, and they will get the Game 3 victory.
What a big game from Reignite, able to turn things around just when it felt like they were at the pits of defeat. It's a big clutch on up, and Reignite pop off here to be able to put themselves in the top 5.
Yeah, the team I said, oh, I'm looking forward to turn things around, are going to go and do it for me here in game number 3, and that is a huge way to turn things around. Finishing this last World's Edge game with an absolute juicer. That is 12 kills, 24 points. A well-needed set of games right there by Reignite. Let's go and have a look at the match summary and the series overall. And it is going to be Reignite with the victory. Riddle Order 2nd, Unlimit 3rd, Kinotrope Club 4th, and Realize rounding out our top 5. Series overall, after our first 3 games, and it is going to be TIE leading the way with 43 points, Realize sitting 2nd, Riddle Order 3rd, Reignite 4th, and Unlimit rounding out our top 5. Let's go and have a look at what legend is getting banned going into Storm.
Hit me with it. See who's getting taken off of the board, as the Mad Maggie will be taken off as we do flip our attention over to Storm Point. And I'm trying to think back to APAC South earlier. I think Maggie made it all the way through to game 6, right?
That she did. Well, I'm excited because that means Storm Point will most likely see a fair bit of baby comp in these last lot of games for Storm Point. Let's go and have a look at our winners so far, Q as well, before we go and have a look at our top 5 kills and damage leaders out here at the moment.
Well, we're keeping that theme going where it's been going thus far on Battlegrounds HQ, at least until match 6, where it's where we continue to get unique winners. It was Realize, TIE, and then Reignite, who have all picked up dubs. And there's a reason that 3 of them, or the 3 of them, I should say, all sit within the top 4. And Reignite not too far from being inside that top 3 as well. But we'll take a quick look as far as our top 5 kill earners, as well as those top 5 damage getters here. Hit me with it, Sony.
And there they are. Pino with the 12 kills so far. Knight sitting 2nd with 9. Tater with 8. Yumi with 7. And Chason with 7 as well. And for our damage leaders, it's going to be Show leading the way with 4.4. Chaser with the 4.3, Knight with the 3.9, Axis and Tater rounding out our top 5 for damage leaders. That is all we wrote for our World's Edge games, we have Storm Point still to come, Q, which means we get a little bit of a break now in between games 3 to 4.
Get ourselves here about 8 minutes, so make sure y'all are staying hydrated. I know both of us are going to be going to grab ourselves a drink. Make sure you're grabbing yourselves a schnicky snack if you've been along with us through 9 games here now, as we are the home of APAC, not just the home of APAC South over here at Battlegrounds HQ. And make sure you're locked in. We'll be back here in a few right after this.
party games are about to start back up. We are heading to Storm Point here for our last 3 games of our APAC North English broadcast here for AvC. So far, the big dogs kind of quiet. Unlimit on 21 points. They're not too far away from first place, but TIE sitting on 43 points after the first 3 games. They're in for a massive day if they can keep this going.
Yeah, TIE definitely look incredibly solid here as far as getting things kicked off. Remember, they are part of Group C, so this is indeed their first match day of the split thus far. I think when we talk about teams, however, that this isn't their first match day. Teams that were in that Group A who maybe haven't quite performed to the level that I guess you would potentially hope or expect. You already did talk. I mean, Unlimit, they're doing better than as far as where they were sitting yesterday. I would probably say about at the line of like minimum where they need to finish right now. So I would like to see them step it up still a little bit more coming down the home stretch here on Storm Point. But I'm going to be looking to O2 Esports, who currently sit down in 8th spot. They went back to back down the home stretch yesterday to be able to put themselves with a pretty strong finish. If they can't duplicate that success, there's a chance that that strong start to their split could kind of go by the wayside after a lackluster finish today.
As we can see, Storm Point PLYs right here, Alternative Gaming landing at Devastated Coast. We had some interesting zones in our Storm Point games. It'll be interesting to see how they go here as well. And as we can see, game number 1 may be heading towards that center side of the zone.
We're wondering if maybe there'd be a chance of something going towards that forbidden zone, aka old Jurassic. Maybe not going that far center, but it is kind of center east side, I do suppose, which is going to be excellent news for Enter Force 36, who currently sit down in that 17th spot. They've only been able to put 9 points on the board thus far. Let's see what they can do now they've been gifted an end zone here, Stoney.
I want to have a look at the lads of E36 because they need to get things going, Q. No, they're not having much luck at all. 9 points on the board for E36. They need to turn it around, and if they have to, it's definitely right now.
Well, you had mentioned the potential of seeing some baby comp. I guess we might as well squeeze in the amount of I guess acknowledgements of the baby comp on screen while they're still around, I do suppose. Enter Force 36 will indeed be one of our teams rocking it. Synap rocking the Valkyrie. I think there's only a handful of them that currently sit in this lobby. Quick scan around, actually. There are a few, and we actually see quite a few teams rocking the same composition. Reignite also rocking the baby comp, as is TIE and a couple of others.
I say we move that way.
Orb Garden, very close by. They're going to set up where they think home will be. As we can see, it is the Gibby rotating in. But Orb Garden will play and try and hold. Is it this north side? No, they're not going to. They're going to go into one of these little tunnels and find a place to play. Orb Garden, though, at the moment, not having the best day. 14 points on the board.
Another best of spots, you did mention going towards one of those stairwells. Remember, we had seen a team that was trying to set up shop in these stairs during APAC South. I said the one thing that didn't help was they didn't have any defensive legends to hunker down. They will at least have that benefit if they opt to shut down and open up shop over there. But it doesn't look like it. It actually looks like there's a chance that they could be pushed a little bit further forward. Same as far as for Enter Force 36. They're just kind of scouting out, getting a lay of the land before the rest of these squads start to move their way.
Bust over there.
We should cruise over there.
All right, heads up. We got an enemy.
E36 right next to Orb Garden. Let's go and have a look at TIE and Alternative, as they look like they might be right next to each other, getting some shots down on this launch pad area. Alternative at the moment playing pretty well. 19 points on the board. We're pretty happy with themselves. As we can see, they're just putting the pressure in on TIE, who are leading the way quite comfortably at the moment here for our AvC.
We got a Mickey mic check. We all right? I'm not from the space station anymore. All right, we're back at it here. Yeah, Ty, they got the high ground, and they will opt to rip it to the sky here now. They'll be able to a little bit of information of who's around and the what's nots, and you know, I don't mind this idea. I'm gonna be intrigued to see if they do opt to try and land directly on one of these squads that are on the outskirts. Instead, they found themselves some prime real estate that doesn't even look like it's been picked through as far as the loot.
Let's move that way.
No, they put themselves in a pretty good spot. Alternative now need to worry about rotating back towards that north side and south side of Stormcatcher. A lot of these teams are on the north side of zone though, Q. They'll be pretty happy with this zone pool.
They'll be happy with it heading up in their direction, that's for sure. We didn't see too much heading up that way earlier today in APAC South, so maybe there's a chance we get a nice little switch up here. Reject have able to find their way towards Launchpad. They are pretty well the southernmost squad over on that eastern side of the map. They'll be able to get their little bit of information and continue their trek up to the northern side. For Red Rams, they need to start putting things together here now in game number 4. Only sitting on 5 points. It's been a little bit of a struggle bus today.
Extended heavy mag here.
If everyone is wondering who is Riddle Order 1, well, that was Dory, I'm pretty sure, isn't it? Q as well, so...
Yep.
A team that made AWC had to play with their coach due to visa issues, so they're not shy of a team to be making points, and putting down points is what they're doing at the moment. I think they're sitting second overall or third overall, just behind Realize, and playing pretty well, which is good to see. Riddle sitting up there in the top side of things.
Especially keeping in mind that that's their, I guess we could consider it their academy team. I'm not really sure, because technically I think they had a better finish than the other squad, just got signed second. I guess it's all semantics at the end of the day, but TIE, they will be our first squad eliminated. Remember, they were our team that sat atop the leaderboard, so now there are chances for Realize in that Riddle Order 1 squad that we were just talking about, see if they can pass them up. Alternatively, there's also Alternative who can look to try and maybe have a big game and also put their name in the mix.
Competitor there.
Reject playing this slow for now. It's going to be a little bit of a long fight here. It's going to be interesting to see how this works for Reject, and they will have to rotate back as Alternative. They have a pretty good angle on these things here as they're spread out pretty well, and that has forced Reject to rotate back in towards a safe spot. O2 Esports, they're playing the south side of Stormcatcher, and they need to be careful as well, as Orb Garden and crews are starting to find their places to play.
Loving to see some of the slight differences as far as the compositions, a couple of catalysts, a couple of wraiths, but it feels like a lot of people wanting to settle on some form of the Chonky Boy loadout, whether it's just the Gibby or adding the Newcastle to go along with it as well. Unlimit right now, they're rocking just the lone Gibraltar, but they do have that Pathfinder to be able to help with those fast rotations. It feels like more teams starting to ride the Pathfinder wave. Exec trying to see if they can get themselves out of dodge.
Yeah, I don't like that chance. Unfortunately, Execs look like they might be getting eliminated here as Rager moves straight on the action, and little knife to the back of the head is going to get the job done as Execs get eliminated here in game number 4. 18 squads left standing as round 2 has a minute left before it starts to close.
I see an enemy.
Little bit more action here than maybe we had seen in some of those earlier rings in those first couple of games, but not by much. Still seeing a lot of discipline from our lobby field of players here as far as for day number 2 in APAC North. Realize one of the squads that is trying to lock down these stairways just behind the man cannon. Oh, you can't be stepping out when you've already taken a couple of shots. They'll end up knocked, but they should be able to get picked right back up. Here back towards Jurassic, we've got Unlimit who are looking to see what they can make happen. They've got a couple of KP to their name. I think they might be chasing down a one last lone survivor.
And good luck running away from a Gibby. That guy is faster than Octane. I feel like that man will just catch this guy a little bit too easy, as they've just given Gibby the craziest speed. And it's going to Hal. He's going to have to be careful, though. He's doing it by himself, but that doesn't matter. Sorale will get eliminated as Unlimit. Get the cleanup. That is Peace and Yellow, man, coming to help X2 soon.
Yeah, the good news is they've pushed far and wide away from where the zone is at. So even though they got knocked, there's no one there to be able to punish. They'll be able to get reset and move on in. We talked about O2. They had a strong back half of day number 1. Trying to duplicate that here on day number 2. The one thing to keep in mind, though, day number 1 in the front half of the series is Storm Point, where they struggled yesterday. Today is on the back half. So we'll see if maybe they can turn things around in that regards. It's Reject, however, that's going to send them out, and Reject seem to be catching a little bit of fire as Axis starting to get things rolling.
Yeah, Axis is looking good. He gets some nice shots down. He has 3 kills at the moment. Fnatic, they're very far away from any of the action at the moment. Let's go back to Reject, though, as it looks like they're going to try and move in on some more teams who are trying to make their way into this south side of Stormcatcher.
The tough part, once you have so many teams, there's so little space as everything starts to close on in. What's funny is there's still space to the south. It's just everyone is expecting this thing to continue to pull up towards Stormcatcher. And nobody wants to surrender that valuable real estate. Big shots across from the Nemesis here from Ruffo. Tries to get the kickstart. Will also have to fight one off in their own right. We'll be able to spray that one down, but it's created enough time for the team that they were chasing down to at least get a little bit of a reset, but it doesn't slow them down. They continue to beam. They continue to hold Shift W, and it looks like Reject should be able to get this squad eliminated.
Yeah, Axis now moving on in. Oh my god, great shots, and they will be able to get the reset as well as Alternative do get eliminated. Rhaegar now the third party team, and it does look like Reject are starting to cook a little bit here, Q, as we have 15 squads left standing. Reject have 7 kills on the board.
Things rolling, and you had mentioned they were able to get themselves reset halfway down this hill and now have their eyes set on a different target, as well as they're going to continue to try and chase down their position inside the top 5. A quick speed boost from Axel. That should be the green light for Reject to full send. That'll force at least the Gibby bubble out, as now Euris will be able to push down the hill to join up with the rest of the squad as they will look to engage in this bubble fight.
This is great. Re-bubble, man. I tell you what, Reject looks so scary right now. The Axel has come out on Roofer, and they just have this confidence to fight everything on this south side of zone. They've just cleaned up so much and have gotten that many KP now that they could probably take their time rotating in. Fennel now on the other side of things. They're getting into it as well with Riddle Order 1. They clean it up as FCN Yamabun now on the back foot as well.
Oh, it was just one last player trying to stay alive. The Fuse unable to do that as Yamabun do go out. 12 teams, though, still left alive as this round 3 will start to close its way on in. You talked about how scary this Reject squad is looking. They will continue to be able to hustle their way up this hill and move over towards this man can. Remember, we had seen a couple of teams fighting here early. I think both Twads had suffered some a little bit of casualties, so they've walked away. There are a few teams that are right around the man cannon, though.
Longbow shots coming out from above. Oh, his teammates just stood in front of him. He probably would have got some downs there. Meteor, they're looking at it. And they're going to try and get some shots to hit as E36 are getting some downs as well. And it does look like Reject, once again, getting involved. Reignite getting eliminated. Unlimit also somehow making their way into the action.
But still alive and up to a full 3 as well. And they've snuck into the zone, as you were talking about. They're one of the most southern teams, so they won't have to worry about any teams behind them. Reject in a similar sort of fashion, just more over on the eastern side of this zone. As a matter of fact, it could be Unlimit and Reject that look to take a fight here before anyone else. Have to see if that ends up coming across, as it is, at least for now, Ruffa, who will be able to get reset through those shield cells. And doesn't look like the calls came across from either Axis or Euris to move from this right side of the cannon. Orb Garden still also holding it down inside of their stairwell as well.
Red Rams now rotating in. It does look like this zone pulls back up towards the eastern side of Stormcatcher. We did see one east pull at Stormcatcher, but it pulled very, very far east. And it does look like now Reject also moving in back onto some more teams for some more fighting. They really haven't had enough just yet.
Watch your back. Enemy there.
Riding the wave, trying to see just how hot they can strike while the iron is ablaze in here. They're feeling good. Now they have another team that is in their crosshairs on the other side. Of course, the Axle gives them the ability to quickly sprint their way across. A bunch of unfortunate Watson fences will slow down their trek. They aren't too far away from being inside of this next zone. Unlimit, they are already over here at Stormcatcher trying to find what piece of this real estate belongs to them.
And have a look at this zone so we can see exactly what Reject have in front of them and all the teams that are inside that zone for game number 4. Stormpoint is what we're watching, and it does look like Meteor, Red Rams, and Fnatic in a really good spot. I also do really like where Kinnetrope Club is sitting at the moment, as they can overlook a lot of these teams trying to rotate in.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to point out Kinnetrope Club's spot the most, right? You're sitting on this northern side. You've cleared everybody to the north of you, and everyone's more focused on the buildings because everyone feels a little bit more protected when they're inside 4 walls. Fennel, they're playing on the low ground, seeing what they can make shake here against Reject, who has already lost Ruffa, but luckily they are on their feet inside of this bubble with a little bit of a pat on the back and a little bit of encouragement from Urice. Fennel now going to be all left to their Axle to retreat back and see what they can make happen on a reset.
Yeah, realize they move in onto Reject, and Reject now down to a solo. That's going to be Urice, and it's going to be a tough ask for Urice to try and get this done by himself. But he will get rid of Realize, and now Reject just all of a sudden farming on this lobby. If they got rid of that solo there from Fennel, they wouldn't have lasted too long, because All Garden come and clean up the party here as well. Reject go out with 14 KP in 9th position.
It's an insane game as far as being able to pick up those points, despite the fact that you weren't really in a position where you felt like winning was a reality. And that's part of what's going to allow for them to continue ascending their way up the leaderboard as well. When we talk about other teams that are wanting to make moves up to that said leaderboard, Enter Force 36 definitely sits atop of them. They walked into this here, game number 4, in the 17th position. We talked about the fact that they had been gifted a zone over here at Stormcatcher. They haven't been able to pick up much KP yet, but with the position that they're in, as long as they can stay alive, they should be able to pick up a handful as long as they can make it into a top 3 position.
They do have the Valkyrie as well, so the Valkyrie rotate in here is what's going to make this interesting, and it does look like they're going to take that now. So round 5 closing in about a second's time, and I don't mind this spot as well where they're going to land. No Mad Maggie, which means they are able to set this up, and they get it done before the team wanting to get in. I think that might have been Kinnetrope Club. Now Kinnetrope Club forced to play low ground here on that northern side of this zone.
It is interesting because Kinnetrope Club is going to be forced to the low ground, but that team that was inside the building where we had seen that team land, where Enter Force 36 landed on top, it did have both an altar as well as a fuse to potentially make something happen to the team that's on top of them. Fnatic, well, they've been pretty slow here today, but they do find themselves approaching in on their first top 5 situation here in split number 2. Unlimit also trying to see if they can finish things off strong as we have shifted our attention to Storm Point.
Awesome ticket. Beautiful shots, and it doesn't look good for Unlimit, as Unlimit now down to a solo, and Lawson Ticket are getting some KP. They're holding it down very well, but they do have Red Rams and a lot of people on that north side of them looking down on them at the moment. E36, well, they thought they put themselves in a pretty good spot for this zone. Now looking to be a little tough, as they will be forced to fight early on with the team right next to it.
a team right below them as well, right? So once they leave their elevated position, they'll have to worry about a team essentially mirroring every step of the way. Kenotrope Club will look to try and reset inside of their bubble. Orb Garden are going to look and try and see just how high they can push things here. They do already have their Watson on the ground, but it looks like they should be able to get brought back up to their feet, and they're tucked away behind the little the rock, so they should actually get a reset for free.
Fnatic looking good. When they see a Fnatic victory, we've seen a fair few of them at Champs in January, Q, and that was probably one of the coolest things, seeing Fnatic and all their fans getting some wins out there in Sapporo. And right now, they could get their name on the board here in game number 4, our first one on Storm Point as well, but they have 5 more teams to worry about. Right now, it is very possible that they can get it done.
About possible. Peace is trying to figure out what they can make possible here from Unlimited. Even if it's just squeezing a couple of more placement points, maybe even being able to hold this respawn to get one of their 2 teammates back into the fray. Fnatic will be able to use the cover to hold off, at least for now, as a bombardment does come across. Peace trying to see if they can stay alive. Nades getting sent their direction. That knockdown shield should give them just enough cover.
It's like E36 getting into some action as well. They have to be aggressive. They drop down. The Newcastle res coming out. They don't have a Gibby bubble, but that Newcastle mobile shield coming out at the perfect time. And I like where they're playing now. They get to play behind their Newcastle wall, but the nades are going to be too much. Lawson Ticket also getting a reset. We're down to our final 4 squads, and it looks like E36 now are forced to try and go to the skies as Synap is the last one left standing.
That was brilliant by Synap. It should allow for them to at least get the their health completely refilled. I don't know if they'll be able to get a shield bat off as well, but that might allow for them to at least allow for this lobby to eliminate itself down to a top 2. No, they do have to jump away. If Enterforce 36 goes out in 3rd, and Lawson Ticket will use this high ground to be able to get across the finish line and look to try and pick up their first dub, but it's Orb Garden who will be able to come in and snatch victory from the signs of defeat.
That is a huge victory for Orb Garden. What a job by the lads here as they take the first game over on Storm Point, and they do it well.
Big game for Orb Garden. They walked into that last game after a pretty, I would say, relatively silent World's Edge. And they were able to play cool, calm, and collect for Orb Garden. They didn't have too far to rotate as far as from Cascade Falls to put themselves in position, but they picked up 12 KP along the way, a big 24-point game to be able to move themselves into the top 3.
Massive game by the boys. Let's go and have a look at the match summary, Q, as you can tell me who led the way in this game and the series overall.
Yeah, Orb Garden game, obviously, we just talked about, came on top with that 24-point loss in Ticket. Oh, so close, but close ain't going to cut it in second. Enterforce 36 were able to pop off and get themselves into a top 3 after Gifted Zone. Fnatic and Unlimit rounding out the top 5. When we look at what that means as far as the overall scores, thus far through 4 games, TIE still sit at the top with 43. Orb Garden, as I had mentioned, now up into second, 1 point ahead of Realize, who are 1 point ahead of Riddle Order 1, with Unlimit rounding out the top 5 as well. But when you look at that 6th through, I mean, what? We'll call it 8th position. I mean, 6 points separate, or sorry, 4 points separate those. There's still quite a few teams who can put themselves in the conversation of that top 5 for these last 2 games on Storm Point.
Very close game at the moment. When you look at the overall leaderboard, at from all the way to 8th to probably 2nd, I'd say anyone can finish in that top 3 in these last 2 games. Orb Garden, they just had a huge game, and just like that, they put themselves into that top 2, just going over top of Riddle Order and Realize. Unlimit still just hanging on in that top 5, and that's what they will need heading into these last 2 games. And well, for our legend band, it is going to be the big man Gibby going off the board here in game number 4.
To put into perspective how big that game was for Orb Garden, one of our PLQ teams, by the way, here in APAC North, yesterday through 6 games, they were only able to accrue 17 points. So huge fact that they're able to bounce in and hopefully accrue quite a few points here today with those 12 kills to go along with the 12 placement points. Almost 5,400 damage along the way in match number 4. But 4 matches down, we have 4 unique winners. I think just about every one of them sit inside the top 5. But as far as our top 5 in kills, we got Peanut, we got Axis, we got Zizar, Knight, and Kiku rounding our top 5. Right now, our top fragger with 12 of them things. Axis right now at the top when it comes to our damage, just over 6K. Zizar, Peace, Rufa, and Show rounding out our top 5 as far as our damage getters.
Yeah, huge game so far from all these lads. Let's go and have a look at the POI draft. We didn't get a chance to look at it for that long before we got into game number 1. Well, for Orb Garden, they're in a pretty good position to get a victory over at Stormcatcher. They didn't have to rotate too far from Cascade Falls.
Yeah, didn't have too far to go, and they put themselves, like we mentioned, in a pretty solid position and able to pick up quite a few KP along the way. And while maybe Enter Force wasn't able to pick up a Dubsky, I do want to give them credit because remember, they walked into that last game in the 17th position. They're now inside the top 10, and they have 2 more games here on Stormpoint to try and still cut into that lead. And you can see over on the right side of your screen, they did prioritize Stormpoint. They utilized their number 3 draft pick to pick their spot here on Stormpoint.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. E36, well, they kind of tried to get things going in that game, Q. They had 5 kills, and I think they finished in top 3 or 4 in that game. So E36 slowly trying to make their way in as well.
That they are. Plenty of teams who still have time to make things happen on these last 2 games. We haven't really had 1 or 2 teams that have really been point sponges in the same way that we've had in our first 2 match days over in APAC South, or even when we look back yesterday here in APAC North when Zeta Division was over here. Through 4 games, they had quite a bit of a lead, and because that hasn't happened, there are quite a few teams that are within reach of one another inside that top 10 and should make these last 2 games incredibly fun.
And that's going to be a very good back end of these games. Game 5 and 6 not too far away from getting started. It does look like we're just waiting for one more person from Kinatrope, and we are ready to get into the action. Q, is there a team at the moment you're looking to get going?
To get going, I mean, for me, if there's any team right now that I'm looking to get going, it would probably be Kinatrope Club, who currently sit down in that 15th spot. This is their 2nd day, and while they did finish 6th yesterday, it was the back end of their day where they were able to find 2 of their top 4s on the day. So I wonder if we've probably seen similar legend bans. If that means now the meta, at least within the lobby, will look to be in a similar spot where they were able to at least come home down the home stretch with a pretty strong finish in match day 1.
I'm excited. I feel like I really want E36 to keep on going on the right path here. They had a pretty good game number 4. It'd be cool to see those boys keep on going here for game 5 and 6. And it's not just because I have a soft spot for them, but I do feel like it is better seeing a APAC North with E36 out here as well. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have 2 more games left for APAC North A versus C before tomorrow we get into APAC North B versus C at the same time after our APAC South games at 12 p.m. SGT. We have 2 more games to go, Q, and it looks like everyone is loading in right now for this 5th game today.
All smooth, it does feel like, as we continue plugging and chugging along. I hear the train a-coming. It's coming around the bend. as we continue to keep on plugging along. I will be intrigued. Yeah, we mentioned as far as that legend band being a little bit different here in APAC South or APAC North as to what we see over in APAC South now with Gibby being taken off of the board in game number 4. What does that mean for our teams that had been going with more of the defensive selections? Do we see more of the Newcastle, or do we see teams switch things up? And I don't want to talk too ahead of ourselves, but I love when we see a Bloodhound, because I thought we were going to see more of it in split number 2. And I see Fennel taking to the battlefield here with 1 in game number 5.
Yep. It is going to be... Well, I saw a lot of ramparts out there as well here for this game. So it'll be interesting to see how this game works out. I'm intrigued to see if Reignite can keep it going as well, because they had a huge game number 4.
Go ahead and take to the skies, figure out where we're going. Do we end up heading more back towards the middle of our map, which would be nice for teams of the likes of Meteor, as well as potentially Orb Garden if we end up going in that general vicinity of either Falls or Cedo Station? Is there a chance that maybe go a little bit more south, a little bit more central? And it does indeed look like that, as we'll be off towards Jurassic, or maybe all the way down towards Pylon as well.
Innotrope Club, they'll be pretty happy with this. Getting a nice zone pull to Pylon. I can't remember the last time we saw one actually pull back Pylon when there is a lot of Jurassic in it. But the team that is playing in Forbidden, they'll be pretty happy with that. It does look like Reject now, and they're going to keep their foot on that pedal, as it looks like they're going to be aggressive and moving on to this Pylon team, which is Kinotrope Club, who look like they may already be moving in towards the spot at Forbidden Zone.
Yeah, I think they've got the read that it's going to be a little bit more towards the north of them, so they're going to try and get towards one of those houses just inside of Forbidden Zone. Cirale, they started pushing up and towards Cedo Station. I think what ended up happening is they actually ran right into Meteor, realized Meteor was rotating towards them, and they're like, oh, maybe it is actually here in Jurassic. We should find a place to shut down and open up shop at.
Cirale right next to Meteor. Meteor rotating in with the fuse here in game number 5. 2 more games left here for our AvC, as Meteor, they're going to just try and lock down this place and call it home, as you think the rest of the lobby is probably going to be rotating here soon as well.
Yeah, Meteor going to want to try and tuck in towards this cranny, and they do have a building to play around, so that's going to be the good news for them. It does have one of the more broken down walls up top, but hey, you still got a stairway that's able to play around, and also, due to the fact that it's more tucked into the crevice, it's not one of the first places that people are going to be looking to as they rotate in from that western side of the map. Granted, there's not too many teams that'll still be left rotating in from that direction, because most of the teams have already started that rotate, but it's still good for the team nonetheless.
Cirale, they're going to just have to eat that few Zolts. As we can see, 20 squads still standing. We haven't had much action, and we don't usually do in these APAC North lobbies in round number 1, as we have 3 minutes and 40 seconds left still of this zone to close.
Don't have too many teams that have settled in down towards Pylon. Most teams have indeed either focused in towards Jurassic itself, or working in towards more of those, I guess you can call them the northern gates up here by where Exec are. There's actually a team that is rotating on the backside of them. It's realized you could be looking to push in through that direction. You can see actually getting called by Exec. Will call their teammate on back as they hear those footsteps around the outside. They'll pull Sheila out just in case they decide to push through the doors, but it ends up not being how it all unfolds.
O2 Esports, they had a pretty good first lot of games. They've been pretty quiet since that though, Q, and as it does look like they're going to be pretty aggressive on a team here, and they have already got it down. They're going to get down 2. Do they? No. Beautiful shots coming out. Should be an easy cleanup. There's only one more man left standing, and that is Fnatic, going to be getting eliminated at 20th position. O2 Esports getting the job done here early.
All right, pop off, King. I was unfamiliar with your game. Stepped right on through, was able to lay it down, though, and allows for them to continue to at least pile on a couple more points, and they found themselves at least a decent spot to tuck away now for a reset as well. You can see on our screens, though, Lawson Ticket is reminding them with a couple of shots here and there that, hey, there's still someone that sits on the other side. Meteor, you're in a fight just a little bit more central inside of Jurassic, as they will be able to find Leah and take them down, as now it's going to be all left to the lone Newcastle here for Sorale.
Meteor with a really nice gameplay there. They will clean that up. Oh my god, that guy's won. That's some beautiful shots coming. Oh my god, Kuroton with the beautiful kills, and Meteor will get rid of Sorale. And that is 18 squads now left standing, and a beautiful job there by Meteor to now take control of this north side of Forbidden Zone.
That's tough for Sorale, as they have been struggling to find momentum here as far as on the day. They currently sit down in that 18th spot. They'll have to watch the remainder of this game number 5 from the lobby. And for them, I mean, a 4th place finish yesterday got them some points, but it will almost feel like all for naught if they aren't able to at least push out of that bottom 5 in game number 6. Lawson Ticket are trying to find their way in towards Jurassic, as they'll be able to go towards this broken house that had once been occupied, now will be set aside for Lawson Ticket for their own.
Yeah, taking advantage, getting rid of it. It does look like Reject also now making their way in towards that south side of Forbidden Zone. They have rotated through Pylon, and they're going to try and find a place to call home, as it looks like Eureese. He's going to hold inside Pylon and just let the boys know if there is any teams rotating back through. They do have that Void Nexus to hit if they need, as Alta still standing here after 5 games.
Oh, I know you and I talked about it the first couple of days. It feels like, or at least first couple of days over in APAC South, it feels like if Alter doesn't get taken out in game 1, maybe game 2, somehow, some way, Alter makes it all the way through the bandwave through all 6 games. And it's kind of looking like it's going to be the case here as well in APAC North here today. Exec was one of the teams that you had mentioned heading into today, because they had a decent day as far as yesterday after qualifying through the PLQs, but they haven't really been able to get much of anything going in back-to-back games. If they have a decent game, they follow up with kind of a dud, which is part of the reason they currently find themselves in 13th.
Reignites. The Sheila in hand is Resi Lolly, trying to do something. As we can see, E36, they're a team that are trying to hold off Red Rams, and that is going to be some beautiful shots coming out. Oh my god, Jusna, Synap and the lads getting the job done here. They should be able to get the reset, as Kinotrope Club do decide to try and move up, but they say nope, not going to happen today. And E36 looking good here early.
Able to capitalize off the first game on Storm Point. And here in game number 5, remember, they didn't have too far to rotate, as they did make their way on down from the northeast up there at Stormcatcher. Reject also didn't have, well, I was going to say too far to rotate, but I guess they were all the way down at Coastal Camp. We had seen them move relatively quick, and they are still one of, I think it's 2 teams currently rocking the advantage in this lobby. However, they haven't been able to find much value off the back of it.
17 squads still standing. Lawson Ticket trying to find their way into zone. Let's go and have a look at the map, though, and see where all these teams are. You can see Riddle Order 1 out at Cedo right next to Realize. Let's see where this zone is pulling. And it is going to be more towards Forbidden Zone, but if Reject are right, and it does keep pulling towards Pylon, they are currently the only team on that side of zone in a great position. Let's go and have a look, though. Alternative, they're moving in on some action, and well, the Prowler in the hand of Libel Ace. It's nearly getting the job done, as AvC and Yamabun are the closest team to them.
Yamabun have been getting cooked relatively quickly in most of these games. It's part of the reason they find themselves down in 19th. I'd like to at least find a way to salvage their day with back-to-back decent finishes. I mean, you don't even necessarily need like top 3s. You just need to make sure that you continue to stay alive and pile on some KP from here into that top 5, 6, 7 sort of range. Got him once, chat. But for now, the most important thing is staying on their feet.
We should head that way.
Alternative. With the hemlock shots very close.
Target there.
And this fight definitely will have to break out, I feel like, Q, in these last stages of this game as well. Rotating in is going to be tough on that north side of zone.
That it is. Luckily, there's not too many teams that will be having to rotate their way on through it, but it is going to be incredibly tough for the few teams that are still left over there. Meteor, they're in the depths of Jurassic. They're in the thick of it, you could say. What the good news is, that means you won't have to move too far, as they can kind of play low and slow, sort of like a good roast. Reject, you'd mentioned before, if this thing pulls over towards the pylon side, they've read this thing like a book, and they will have such a phenomenal priority on the pull itself, as Enter Force 36 is looking to continue to ride that wave of momentum that they built up in Game 4.
Yeah, they're going to have to hold off. I feel like there's some teams actually near Mountain Lift as well. So E36, they're going to have to, if they're playing this spot, play it correctly and hold it with a bit of presence. Make it hard for these teams to rotate towards where they are. 15 squads still standing. Round 2 about to be finished closing. We can go and have a look at the zone and see where this next one is heading here for round number 4.
Yeah, I was wondering if it'd pull towards those houses where Reignite and Kenotrope Club were, and it does look like that's going to be the case. The good news for Reject is they'll still be able to play over on their side of the fences and still be able to wait as the rest of the lobby continues to play itself out. But at some point, they will need to expose themselves to the teams that do indeed sit inside of Jurassic. FNC Yamabun will see one of their teammates fall. Alternative have Liable Ace with the longbow in hand, who's being able to poke and prod across the way.
Alternative, I feel like we've said their name a lot today, but they haven't been able to capitalize on all of the action so far. The longbow shot's not hitting there for Liable Ace, but they have a pretty good chance here to make Game 5 count, Q, as they need to rotate in. It is going to be a tough rotate, but this team is more than capable to get a pretty good game here, 5.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a great day for Alternative, but it also hasn't been awful. They're definitely within a striking distance as long as they can put together a halfway decent game number 5. And right now, it does feel like there are quite a few teams that are still in a position to be able to be disruptors in the lobby. I don't know if anyone's really put themselves into a solidified endgame position just quite yet. Reject looking to try to be disruptive over on this eastern side of the fence as they continue to push on in, as TIE's dropped one.
Yeah, TIE are in some trouble. As we can see now, they're going to keep on being aggressive here. As we see Roofer moving up with the Prowler. Down goes another one. That's FT Yarn, and it doesn't look good for TIE, who thought, hey, let's rotate in and take a little bit of that pylon side. Reject like, hell no, boys, this is our spot. We've been here all game. Go away. O2 Esports on the other side, looking to be aggressive on to Meteor. They're going to queue through, clean this up. There's only one man left standing. The Prowler in the hand, and the beautiful shots coming out. They will clean it up. O2 Esports eliminated. Meteor now starting to cook. We have 14 squads left standing with round 4. Not too far away, as we have only 15 seconds left for round 3.
Really mean to tell me Little Order 1 are sitting right next door to Meteor and they did not try to push into that? That is kind of insane. Granted, they'll eventually be able to push into the doorway after finding a knock onto 1, but they can see there's that TP from the altar, as Meteor has been able to get out of dodge. That get out of jail free has allowed them to get back to a full 3.
Alternative going out, FCN, Yamabun. So these teams that were on that uplift, mountain lift kind of area, now starting to fight their way in towards that forbidden zone. And FCN, they will be able to do it for 3. They get their chance to rotate in. We do have a lot of fights happening. No Meteor, they're moving back in, trying to take what was theirs back, as Riddle Order 1 now down to a duo. It's going to be a 2v1, as Exact also going into a little bit of action with Exact on the south side of zone.
Well, you thought you were going to be able to keep that portal open? Not today. Meteor is going to be able to get back up onto their feet yet again. I ain't heard no bell, they say, as they're going to be able to get the reset off of the back of that as well. Riddle Order, though, they're also going to be able to get themselves back up to a full 3, and they are still inside of this zone, and it doesn't really look like Meteor have any other alternative than to try and push right back into that squad.
Riddle Order, they're just hoping that they don't get pushed again by Meteor. At the moment, Meteor just kind of having a lot of fun with the alter queues, altering through the floor and just making it hard for the lads to reset. Exact on the other side, well, they're down to a solo, and that is going to be AvC and Yamabun, who have played this perfectly, rotating from uplift. They get rid of Exact. TIE get eliminated as well. We now have 10 squads left standing, and it looks like E36 have found themselves to call home here in this game number 5 as well.
And game number 6 shaping up to be spicy. Our top 2 teams have already been eliminated, and a couple of these other squads inside the top 5 find themselves in some sticky situations as well, which means the top of our leaderboard is fixing to look thick heading into our last drop on the day here on match day number 2. Unfortunate for Riddle Order, Show has been eliminated, so they'll be down to a 2-0 here for now. Unlimit trying to see what they can make happen here late in game number 5 as they find themselves just outside of the top 5.
The zone's going to be interesting. Reject still the only team, I think, in that pylon area. If it pulls back towards them, they're in a great spot. Kinotrope Club, though, rotating in. They will get rid of AvC and Yamabun. We now have 9 squads left standing in this game number 5. Zone 5 a minute away from closing, and you can see that zone pulling towards Reject, and they have played this perfectly here in this game.
Then at some point they'd have to step through the fence, but it looks like when that's going to happen is pretty well right at the end, and they might not even need to step through it. They're in a phenomenal spot. All of the other 6 teams that are still left alive inside of Jurassic, it's almost like they're inside of 3 individual fights inside of Jurassic, which means right now for Reject, they just get to vibe. Unlimit, they're going to try and tuck tail and run, though. They'll use that very quick zip line off of the back of that Pathfinder, but they do still have Reject on the other side of that fence.
TIE are probably very upset with Reject, saying, why can't we just coexist here, boys, in the backside of Pylon together? But Reject have done really well to hold that spot there, Q, and at the moment they're sitting in the best position. They have also 6 kills on the board here for game number 5. 6 squads left alive as round 5 now starting to close.
I mean, if there was any complaint from Reject through the first 4 games, it was the fact that they had only been able to put 6 placement points onto the board. They've picked up 23 kills heading into this game number 5, and now they are looking to see just how high they can push the needle. Reignite in a similar position, also seeing how high they can push the needle. They walked into this thing a little lackluster as far as the points department, but they continue to climb.
They do. Fennel now looking to try and force the action. They will have to move in, and that is E36 now in some trouble. Juicner and Sota, the last 2 standing. Fennel now down to a 3-man, and Reject, well, they're having a lot of fun. They get to watch all these teams in front of them starting to rotate in. They are taking KP, and they're doing it with advantage as well.
Yeah, they got to watch that other door across the way, though, as it's Kinotrope Club who are going to look to try and step right on through. We had seen Urice send 1 shot over in that direction, but it wasn't able to find much. There's going to be another one. That one is going to connect. Axis has already been knocked. The Kickstar, we'll see, will be used to at least push themselves across on the Vantage side, but Urice going crazy through the portal, but Kinotrope Club still up as a full 3.
This is a crazy throw right now with Kinotrope Club doing this perfectly, but Reignite, they're going to change the story here. This might give Reject a chance to reset as Reignite are looking down on the action. We have the duo now left standing for Reject as it looks like Axis has been eliminated, and well, down goes the Urice, and this looks like Reject, as we said, who are sitting in a great position, now get eliminated. We have 2 squads left alive. It is going to be Reignite going up against Kinotrope Club. We see the swing now by Moyashi, and they're going to get the control on the hide, and Kinotrope Club clean up game number 5 for APAC North, and that is a huge win, a 9-kill victory, giving them 21 points on the board.
Hey, can I have someone in our content department queue up the clip where you said, hey, was there a team you're looking for going into game number 5? And I was like, hey, yeah, Kinotrope Club. And then they walk up here with a Dubberooski in game number 5, put themselves up into the conversation as they're just a couple of points away from a top 5 scenario.
Huge game by those lads, Kinotrope Club. They did so well to get rid of Reject and get rid of the team that really had to... I feel like Reject had to choose a side, and it felt like they really didn't do it together. No one was really looking to that right door, and it just gave Kinotrope a chance to rotate in and get rid of Reject quite easily. Reignite also kind of letting that happen, as they didn't really overlook Kinotrope doing that as well. But hey, they'll take the victory, and they look good here after game number 5. Let's go and have a look at the match summary and the series overall after our first 5 games.
21 points for Kinotrope Club in first place. Reignite finishes in second. Reject picked up 10 KP along their way to third place, giving them a 17-point game. Fennel in fourth, and Enterforce 36 going to be able to round out the top 5 as far as for game number 5. Where that leads us overall, though, Sony, is this. Currently, Reject sitting that first place spot by 2 points, sitting at 46. Tie, well, they're tied with Reignite at 44 points. And then Realize and Riddle Order 1 are tied in that 4th, 5th spot at 40. Orb Garden just outside of the top 5, looking in at 39. And Kinotrope Club, who just popped off, at 36. So a lot of teams still within reach, able to, I mean, really, it's still anyone's, game when it comes to like the top spot, which is so exciting for game 6.
This is going to be one of the most exciting last games at the moment. This is the closest lobby I think I've ever watched in Apex Pro League at the moment. It is basically the whole top 10 able to take the win here today. E36 also are only 18 points away from tying with Reject. That's only a 6-kill win. So if Reject go nuclear here in game number 5, we may see one of the craziest comebacks as well. E36 are just inside that top 10 now. Unlimit, they're slowly falling, and it seems like they're just getting lower and lower at the moment. They're sitting 8, trying to probably hold on for that top 5. Let's go and have a look at what legend is getting banned, though, Q.
Take a look at it here, as it will be the Fuse that gets taken off the board. So Alter still going to be available. We'll also still have some of those big boys other than the Gibby still available as well, including that Newcastle, which had a little bit of an increased pick rate as well. So going into our last game, we've got no Fuse, no Maggie, no Gibby, no Crypto, no Seer, with one last game left here in APAC for match day number 2.
So far, 5 different winners: Realize, Tie, Reignite, Orb Garden, and Kinotrope Club getting the victories here. 5 games so far with 1 game left to go. Do you feel like there's a team that has won a game here that could go back to back, or do you feel like it's too close, Q? You feel like maybe we're going to see 6 different winners today?
I would love to see six different winners today, because there are still some teams that are either in the mix that you would love to see still be able to keep that fight till the end to put themselves into a top 3 scenario. Looking at teams like Unlimit, like Fennel, who currently sit, kind of on the outside of the bubble looking in. But man, just imagine if Kinotrope Club were able to go back to back here and go from 17th to maybe being inside the top 3 on the last 2 games. Would be rather insane.
That'd be insane. Let's go and have a look at who is leading the way after our 5 games. We only have 1 more game to go to see who can take the win here for the kills and the damage. And Axis is leading the way comfortably with 17 kills on the board. Pino sitting second with 12. Fennel is X with 11. Knight with 10, and Roofer with 9. For our damage, Well, I'm sure it looked pretty much the same around that game 4 mark, and that is Axis, Roofer, Zera, Chase On, and Peace in the top 5. We have one more game to go, Q, and I mean, it is so close. I don't think you can... I couldn't choose a team right now that I feel like will win it, because I dead set do not have a single idea at the moment of a team that is just going to take it with both hands and run away, because of how close this actually is. The only team I feel like that might possibly do that and is playing with a lot of confidence is Reject. Reject seem to be putting themselves in really good positions. At the end now, I feel like if they didn't have the advantage and they played it a little bit more smarter, and they had like a Newcastle or something like that to be able to reset, we may have seen Reject probably win that game, being able to slow it down. But having that advantage, they were caught out, they died pretty easily. It helped them at the start, right? They did all right with that because they're so aggressive. But I feel like that may be my team pick to try and hold on to this lead.
Yeah, they, to be fair, they haven't been able to finish inside the top 3. They've been finished 3rd. But they have been really relying on their KP, which I think when you refer back to that vantage point that you just made, will make that a little bit more of a challenge. But when you look at how much damage they've output compared to pretty well every other team in the lobby, there's a sense of consistency through 5 games, with the team averaging about 4K damage a game, which leads you to believe that there is most definitely a possibility. But there's a chance that we may have to wait just an extra minute or 2 before we can actually see it.
Yeah, I know. We haven't had many restarts here at APAC. I was going to say APAC North seems to be the most... I was going to say it before this game, but I didn't. But every time I've watched APAC North, we have never had a DC. This time looks like we might have 2. So that is okay. 58 out of 60 people. Q, I don't know about you, but I need to go get a water... ready for this last game. This is going to be our 18th game of Apex in less than 24 hours, chat, as well. So once again, we appreciate you guys so much being here. We have 2 more sets of Apex tomorrow. That is APAC South, B vs C, and APAC North, B vs C. All the action is still to come, Q. Let's we'll be right back with some more Apex. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 6 is about to get underway, and it is so close. You can't separate many of these teams at all. Reignite, Reject, and TIE, all 2 points apart of each other, with Riddle Order 1 on 40 points. It is so close out here for this last game. This is where it comes down to it, to see who will take Matchday 2 for AvC.
I love it because of the fact that it is so crowded at the top of the leaderboard, and there's really been nobody that's been a point sponge. Yeah, there's 5 teams that are all within 6 points, but you look all the way back to, I mean, even 12th, maybe 13th even at O2 Esports. They're 23 points away. We've seen teams be able to pick up 14, 15, 16 kills and a dub, which would very well potentially at minimum put you in the hunt for top 3, but maybe very well getting that top spot, which yields you those 25 points, which are oh so valuable come the end of the split. But we've had one long-awaited break between games 5 and 6, so let's go ahead and get down and do what it do.
We've got
Do what it do is what Alternative are going to need to do, because 23 points is what they're on. They're going to need a good 23 points here to at least make it to that top 3, you'd think, as Reignite and Reject and TIE all around that same mark. A lot of teams, though, very close by. I feel like E36 are a team that could drop a nuke as well. You even look at Unlimit. They're on 36 points, only 10 points away from getting first place. And they're a team that can drop a absolute banger and take the win after a pretty, I would say, disappointing day so far for this team.
Yeah, for maybe our Battlegrounds HQ viewers who have been along with us along the way over the last couple of splits in APAC South, who maybe haven't really gotten to watch much APAC North, y'all might know Unlimit obviously from their performance at EWC, but it's kind of their thing. It's like they have those couple of pop-off games, and sometimes those games in between leave a little bit more than to be desired, but you never count them out in the same way like we do in APAC South with Gen G. So there's still a chance here in game number 6, despite the fact that the last, 3 games, I don't think they've put up but more than a couple of points. They can still seal the deal here.
I don't know what Fnatic were doing. I don't know what Colonel Garcia was doing, but Fnatic now, another team that really aren't having much luck. And like we said, they made their way back into Pro League through PLQ, but at the moment they're in a lot of trouble once again. Sorale look like they're rotating in. It looks like we might be having a Cedo game here for game number 6.
I don't know if we've had a Cedo one yet this split, and that's one that I'm always here for. You've got the different layers, all of the different houses kind of spread away from the main building here at Cedo as well. This is one of those end zones that can get quite crowded, which when again you look at the top of the standings and you know just how close it is, I'm all for it. Give me some popcorn here, Stoney.
Yeah, the popcorn is going to be made, that's for sure. I'll have a look. O2 Esports, all gaming as well, trying to find their way into zone. I feel like we're going to have a lot of teams left standing out here, Q, in this last game. Kinotrope Club, though, get absolutely deleted as they try to land in on O2 Esports. So there is no going back to back for Kinotrope Club. And O2 Esports get a nice little bit of kills and, well, loot as well for their hard work.
Level 2.
And this is tough because of how close it is. You've kind of got to hope that the rest of this lobby plays out into your favor if you're Kinotrope Club, because you could very well have just gone from 7th, maybe even all the way down to 11th, 12th, depending on how the rest of this game number 6 unfolds. And that's a big difference when you talk about those collective points for the split across the 6 match days. And Sorale also know how important this game number 6 is for them, trying to climb out of this hole down here in bottom 2.
E36, Sorale, we're going to have to try and chill out for now. Fnatic, they look like they might be in a little bit of troubles. They're still getting downed at the moment. Colonel Garcia did get reset, but looks like he will go down. E36, I don't mind this spot, to be honest, Q, because if it pulls back towards the beacon, I do see a lot of these times teams try and get into this position late. Getting here early for E36. I'll be pretty happy with that.
I like this spot especially because of the Rampart Newcastle combo, right? You're under the stairs, so nobody can really give you much damage from above. And that extra walls from the Rampart lets you build out even further from what your Newcastle ultimate can do. So yeah, I really enjoy this spot that Enterforce currently find themselves in. And you wonder just how much will it play out to their benefit. We had seen one team that currently sits on top of them was trying to use those cues to be able to play a little disruptive. Now E36 get the benefit of doing the same thing.
Go here. Over here. Got a target.
Reignites. Another team that need to hold on. They're only 2 points away from taking first position. As we can see, Rezzy's just trying to farm some Evo halves at the moment using that res technique. As well, Rezzy now and the boys will sit on blue. Q heading into these zones.
It is already packed over here though, so you wonder how much more can they potentially find value as far as upgrading those Evo here through rings 2 and 3 from some of these teams that are sharing the real estate inside of Cito's station. You can see Tida trying to find some angle, and worth noting, because I did mention it earlier, I was hoping to see some Tida Newcastle. We at least get it before everything's all said and done on the day.
Have a look. E36. Still holding it down for now. Let's go and have a look at the map though. As you said, there's a lot of teams inside this zone. Rager and Fennel still on that north side. Red Rams and Alternative, they might be getting into it as well on that eastern side of zone. And I have to wait to see how this works out for these teams. I don't know if they have zone knowledge and they think maybe this is where it's going, but Red Rams, see if they can get some KP here. Alternative, well, they're going to have to try and stay alive if they want to keep their chances of making that top 10 reality.
Yeah, Red Rams would love to find a 3v3 win here because they have not really been able to get much of anything to write home about. And while granted, this is going to be their first trip out into the battlefield, and we've said before, you can have a bad match day. It just means that their margin for error, especially tomorrow, will be next to none. But nice shots getting sent across by Datch, and now the Axel will put this squad they're chasing on the run as it's a slide down the hill as well. The P2020s come out, Shield's gonna get cracked, and they should be able to find the final elimination as well.
Man, he is absolutely flying at the moment. Datch, he does get down 2. Momon goes down from Alternative, and this may be all she wrote for Alternative here in game number 6. Beautiful chase though by this Datch. He's got the Q as well, and that is going to be all she wrote for Alternative here in game number 6. They go out at 19th position. We have 18 squads left standing.
And Alternative will probably also see their position in the standings continue to fall a bit as well. They dropped out where they had started. I think they were in, 12th, 13th spot, but there's a couple of teams in their direct vicinity that all they need is a couple of points to pass them up. Even Red Rams, if they continue to take these fights out here on the eastern side and win these 3v3s, they could also pass them up.
Reject, the team that is holding the lead for now, Q, only with 16 points on the board. 46 points on the board, not 16. Not enough to be comfortable though, Q, because it is so close at the moment here for this AvC lobby that they really need to try and keep their foot on the pedal, because one bad game right now could move them back towards maybe 5th position because of how close it is.
We've been finding them, or we've been seeing them, I should say, find some decent reads as far as late game and not being shoved into what looks like the read come zones 2 and 3, but more where things are heading towards zones 4 and 5. They're in a position to still be able to do something similar here since they're in Forbidden Zone, but when you look at teams like Enterforce 36 and the, 7, 8 other squads that are still shoved inside of Cito, at some point, they're going to have to pull down towards the south a little bit. The question is, what teams are left alive, and can any of them still be a full 3?
Looks like E36 and Sorale traded their altars. If you can't have one, the other team's not allowed to either. So they're both now left with a Rampart and a Newcastle on both teams. So interesting play there. It looks like maybe they were trying to queue through each other's areas. 18 squads left alive, so E36 will have to try and do this now as a duo, because it's going to be quite impossible, Q, for both these teams to be able to get a reset.
It's going to be quite impossible, quite tough indeed. I mean, so many squads around in the area. There's just, you try even the slightest bits of trying to wrap around without any sort of cover, and you find yourself in trouble. You mentioned earlier Reject trying to hold on to that #1 spot. It looks like they're trying to hold on to their house here, as well as they've got a team that's come a knocking, as it's Axis who steps right back through the queue and is shredding with the car. More shots getting launched, but it's Axis who's the last one left standing.
He's played this perfectly. He's going to take the Void Nexus. Oh, might have been, I was going to say, not a good play, but it is going to be an okay play. As well, should be able to get Roof for back, but there is a team very close by, and this may be Reject getting eliminated. Unlimit, hold on a second, are going to clean up Reject. We now see Reject in a little bit of strife, Q. They go out at 18th. They are definitely not going to be finishing the day on top.
Yeah, weren't able to add any points. It's a tough spot to be. Now they have to watch the rest of this lobby and see just how much of those 25 points they aren't going to collect at the end of this 6th game. And there's a chance that if Unlimit can catch fire, maybe they can be the ones who can end up on top. They had a decent start to their day, but they've been relatively quiet. They're just hoping to salvage their day here, Stoney.
We have Riddle Order, Realize, Reignite, and TIE all on 40 and 44 points respectively. So all of a sudden, E36 looking like they could have won the day. Now it could be falling down to a top 5.
It's definitely a tough situation to be in. You gotta just kind of hope that some of these teams down towards the bottom of the leaderboard that do still find themselves in good positions on the map are going to be able to utilize that. We talked about all of these teams that are shoved inside of Sito Station and the fact that they would eventually have to head down south. I don't think many of us were expecting it to be this soon. There are 6 squads that are all going to have to move here starting in 15 seconds. 17
squads still alive. Meteor okay with their spot for now. We'll wait and see how this goes, Q. Let's go and have a look at the zone, because it does look like it has pulled back towards Forbidden Zone, and it's getting a little bit interesting for these teams making their way in. Look at the shots coming out from FC and Yamaban, and they're going to try and get some downs. They get 2 down from Exec. There's only 1 man left standing, and the car at the moment in APAC North is used so well, as they will get rid of Exact, and that is 666 getting the job done.
Trying to remember, right, I think I had seen some stats that gotten sent over to me yesterday from APAC South. The car also being utilized quite a bit over there as well. Not to the same level. It feels like always in APAC North, they're able to find just the slightest bit of difference. Here's Unlimit that is still left alive, and they're on the hunt. It's a squad that landed right where they just eliminated a squad on our screens not even but a minute and a half ago. It's all sorts of nades that are getting sent out here by Peace as they're looking to disrupt the Peace.
Peace is farming right now. He's going to get the last member. There's only 1 more man standing, and they will get the job done. Rager get eliminated. Unlimit get the reset, and I'm telling you, Unlimit are very capable of absolutely tearing this game apart and taking the victory here for Matchday 2. We just lost Reignite as well, and they're one of the teams on 45 points here in the lobby.
Well, the teams at Unlimit was still trying to chase down. Granted, there is still Ty left alive, who currently sit in 2nd with 45. That was a bar that I didn't even intentionalize, but hey, there it goes. And as long as they can play that house that they're in, they should be all right, at least until the end of this ring closing in. But they will eventually have to move from their position. Same as O2, who's looking to try and clean up some of these teams that are rotating their way out of Sito's station, quickly pushing onto the backside of the... Did you not see them coming in your direction at all, my guys?
I was very insane, as it does look like Orb Garden now are going to have to take that portal, but this is good for Unlimit because more KP coming their way. They're only 4 points away from the lead. That's right, 4 points away from taking the lead here in match day number 2. Beautiful shots coming out, and they get a full reset. The longbow in the hand as well, and they're putting a lot of pressure on that team on the northern side of where they are.
Hitting hot at the right time and seeing if they can ride the wave across the finish line. Shots continue to get sent from the longbow of peace, and while maybe not necessarily finding their connection, they're still applying pressure to that team across the way, as it's Fnatic who is tucked back and over behind on the opposite side of the wall for middle one.
No respect.
So down to our final 14 squads. We can see O2 Esports, they're going to have to try and make their way into zone as well. Chaseon's just going to rotate straight into so many teams. They will go down. The boys are going to have to take it. Riddle Order 1 are just getting some free KP, but they're going to have to rotate in. There's so many teams on their backside. FCN, they're going to die to zone. Riddle Order 1 in some trouble as well, and it just looks like they were all running into zone, trying to stay out of trouble. Unlimit, who are trying to get the victory for match day number 2, they're in a lot of trouble as well, as they tried to rotate in, and it's Red Rams holding their own.
Remember, Red Rams started in that 20th spot. They've climbed up one up in a 19th, and they will take out our EWC champs, as now they're up to 17 points. They should be able to get the full reset as well, and they will have complete control of this southern side of the zone. It's Realize who currently sit just on the cusp of that top 5, who will now try and see what they can make shake.
Real eyes, real lies, real lies. As we can see, 8 squads left standing. They are only 5 points away from the lead. TIE still standing. They're 1 point away from the lead. So with 8 squads out here, there's some teams still on the backside just trying to take the lead and win match day number 2. As we can see, TIE do need to worry about this next rotate in queue, as it looks like that zone does pull a little bit more south where they are sitting at the moment.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams up towards that north side, which will make that rotate difficult as well. Also worth noting, a team that keeps coming across on the ticker up at the top of your screen, Enter Force 36, after the struggle start that they had today, they can still find themselves inside the top 5 as well. They do have the team Meteor that is to their low ground and to their left. If they can clear that first, then the rest of their walk-in would be relatively free. But the problem is with the team that's looking across the way and the team to their left, it's just going to be too tough.
Let's wait to see how this game is going to finish. Meteor sitting underneath E36, and E36 have just had to full send and queue into a spot they think was safe, and I don't know if this was the play, as they're going to get eliminated. E36 go out. Meteor gets some KP on the board, and we now have only 7 squads left alive. TIE looking to move in, capitalize on this, and get some more KP, as there's only 1 man left standing, and FT Yarn will be able to get through with that queue and try and clean up these teams. Meteor now getting eliminated. It looks like Fnatic as well, and here comes Realize trying to get some more points on the board.
And they've got that Sheila singing in the hand of Night, as the other 2 players also were able to peek up over this ledge and continue to rain down on the teams below them. TIE will be taken out, and Realize now just a couple of points from being your match day 2 champions.
Yeah, Realize going to try and take the victory here. They just need to stay alive or even get 1 more kill to be able to get it done. Red Rams, they know that they need to just make their day look half decent after having a very slow game. Before we got into this game, Q, they were on 15 points. Currently, they have 10 kills, and they're looking for more as they're deciding to move in aggressively here on the lads of Realize, who are trying to get a match day 2 victory. And I do not like their chances right now, as they're sitting on this outside, and Red Rams, they're looking to be aggressive. There's 3 squads left standing. There's only 1 man left to worry about. That is going to be that Wraith, but now they're going to take it back. Red Rams should clean this up, as they're very close to the action.
Red Rams came into match number 6 in 20th place, and there is a potential of pushing their way into the top 10. It's a 3 versus 2, and it looks like they've already found the opening on the Fennel as well. All you've got to do is hunt down this last lone solo, and for Red Rams, they've done exactly what the game plan was, and that was rectify the day, and that's a big GG for Red Rams here in Game 6.
That is a huge game from Red Rams. They get a 15-kill victory to finish off Day 6. That makes their day look half decent. They get a 27-point game queue. They were on 8 points before this one.
That's insane. It's really shows a mental fortitude here for Red Rams to be able to come in and struggle through 5 games. This is their first match day. This is a PLQ team who I believe for, I think at least one of their players, it's like their first little bit of pro league experience, and to be able to keep together the mental, to be able to still fight and scratch and claw, to have this sort of pop off in your 6th game is definitely worth a round of applause for this trio.
Let's go and have a look at our match summary and series overall, and it is going to be Red Rams with a huge game, 27 points, Fennel with 12, Realize with 10, Tine sitting 4th in that game, and Fnatic rounding out our top 5. And well, for the series overall of our match day 2 for APAC North AvC, it's going to be a 1-point difference between TIE and Realize, and TIE will take the win of match day 2 here of AvC. Realize will get 2nd, Reject get 3rd, Riddle Order 1 get 4th, and Reignite round out our top 5 here of our first ever APAC North English broadcast. Unlimited. Well, they had a good chance, Q, to make some noise, but they unfortunately got eliminated with that rotate in.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a pretty up and down day. It felt like there was a chance they were able to catch fire early. They fell down towards, I think that was almost as low as, what was it, 9th or 10th at one point. So to still be able to also salvage their day, especially after not getting the results they were looking for in match day number 1, it is worth a nod to Unlimited as well. There's a reason that they were our EWC champions, and part of that is their mental fortitude as well as their skill. They'll have to go back and watch the VODs and see what they have to change, however, because they are already 1/3 of their way through split number 2.
6 games, 6 different winners. Red Rams getting the last one. Realize the first. TIE, Reignite, Orb Garden, and Kinatrope filling out the middle. As we can see, 6 games, 6 different winners. That is why APAC North today had the most closest lobby I've ever been a part of for a hot minute. Let's go and have a look at what players have made the most noise today, Q.
Yeah, let's look at those top performers and give them their last nod, as it's going to be ALGS, who is our top fragger of the day with 17 of them things. Is XXV from Fennel with 13. Peanut with 12. It will be Knight and Datch rounding out our top 5 with 11. When we look at who was able to output the most damage here in Group A versus C over in APAC North, let's take a quick look at that. ALGS also holding it down there with the 10K. AO chasing 7.6. ZZRZV with the 7.5 piece, and 4 Ruffa rounding out the top 5 as well there, Stoney.
That is all she wrote for APAC North. Congratulations to the lads over at TIE, just holding on by 1 point there in APAC North AvC. We'll be back tomorrow, Q, with B versus C. So let's send these guys out of here, as we need to get some rest as we cast 12 more games tomorrow to get to our 30 games over 3 days of Apex.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a one-time thing. So if it's your first time through on the Apex, the Battlegrounds HQ over here, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you hit the either follow button or the subscribe button. Turn those notifications on. That way we can catch y'all back tomorrow. And until we do catch y'all back for that next one, do me a favor and make sure you don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere. Game hard and love hard, all right, y'all? That's Stoney. I'm Q. For the rest of the crew here from the front to the back, y'all have a great rest of your night. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Peace. We're out of here.